Chapter 2113. Chapter 2113, Everyone Shocked. Chapter 2113. Chapter 2113, Everyone Shocked, All. Mu Yang screamed with fear on his face. He turned around and tried to escape from the stone platform. However, Lu Ming would not let him have his way. He must kill Mu Yang. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and caught up with Mu Yang in an instant. He struck Mu Yang's back with his palm. Mu Yang screamed in pain as his body was pierced through, leaving a large hole in his back. At this moment, both his arms were crippled and his body was pierced through. His combat strength was greatly reduced and he was even less able to fight against Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming leaped up and kicked Mu Yang's face. Mu Yang's body landed heavily on the stone platform, causing it to rumble. A series of cracking sounds came from his body and dozens of his bones were broken. Then, Lu Ming stepped on Mu Yang's face, rendering him unable to move. This was very similar to the first time Mu Yang challenged Lu Ming. He was also stepped on by Lu Ming and lost all his face. Oh, Tang, he'll kill you. He'll make sure you die without a proper burial. Mu Yang roared crazily. He was truly crazy. Before the battle, he was still acting all high and mighty, wanting Lu Ming to die miserably. He even mocked Lu Ming for being a good-for-nothing with no potential and that he would never be a match for him if he could not break through to the martial supreme realm. But how many moves had it been since the battle started? He was like a wild dog being stepped on by Lu Ming. This kind of humiliation made him go crazy. You still dare to threaten me in this situation? Lu Ming was indifferent. With a wave of his hand, two beams of light struck Mu Yang's legs, causing them to explode. All. Mu Yang screamed hysterically. With his current cultivation, even if he only had a head left, he could regrow his flesh and recover his body. However, the pain was real. Now, his four limbs were crippled and his body had been pierced through. He was severely injured and in extreme pain. Yuan, you dare to kill me? The experts of my Mu clan are right here. If you dare to kill me, you'll have to face the revenge of my Mu clan. Mu Yang roared. He was certain that Lu Ming would not dare to kill him. He glared at Lu Ming viciously. As long as he did not die, he would definitely kill Lu Ming in the future, no matter what. Bang! Lu Ming's expression turned cold. He stomped on Mu Yang's head and it burst like a watermelon. Then, a soul flew out and was held in Lu Ming's hand. This was Mu Yang's soul. At this moment, the face of Mu Yang's soul was filled with fear. He did not expect that Lu Ming would really dare to kill him. Was he not afraid of the Mu family's revenge? You're looking for death. The Mu family's experts were truly enraged. Someone roared, and his aura was so powerful that it seemed as if the entire world was trembling. Without a doubt, this was the emperor of the Mu clan. Mu Yang was done for. His physical body had been completely destroyed, leaving only his soul. Even if he reincarnated, he would not have his previous achievements. This infuriated the Mu family's powerhouses. They were about to attack and kill Lu Ming. However, at the next moment, at least 10 cold gazes swept toward the Mu clan's emperor lord. As if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him, the Mu clan's emperor lord's anger instantly died down, and he withdrew his aura. This was the Battle of the 10 Lands, where great emperors from all regions gathered. No one was allowed to disrupt it. If he attacked, a group of great emperors would attack instantly and kill him. Tian, you'd better let Mu Yang go. Mu clan emperor didn't dare to attack, so he could only threaten. Lu Ming sneered and could not be bothered. Yuan, let me go. One beg you, let me go. At this point, Mu Yang was truly afraid. He knew that he had encountered a lawless person, so he was not afraid of him at all. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He had no intention of letting Mu Yang go. With Mu Yang's personality, letting him go might be even more dangerous. He would definitely take revenge and not give up. Then what was the difference between letting go of Mu Yang or not? If I let you go, then I'll find another assassin from the Death God Nation to kill me? Lu Ming said coldly. Mu Yang was stunned. Then, his face twisted in disbelief. Finally, he cried out hysterically, "You're Lu Ming, you're Lu Ming. You're not dead. Mu Yang's shrieking voice spread in all directions. Everyone could hear it. Many people were shocked. What? He's Lu Ming, the son of chaos? Didn't the people of the Death God Nation spread the word that they had already killed Lu Ming? Don't tell me he's not dead. Many people were discussing in shock. At that moment, Yuan, the son of chaos, looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes, like two stars. The aura of the galaxy burst out. It was bathed in white divine light and stared at Lu Ming. He is Lu Ming. Qiu Yu, Feng Ling, Long Chen, and the others were all overjoyed. Master, it must be Master. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli were also overjoyed. They thought about why Lu Ming had helped them previously. They did not know him at all, but Lu Ming had helped them. They had been puzzled before, but they finally understood now. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on Lu Ming. So, he's Lu Ming? Some great emperors whispered. They had long seen through Lu Ming's true appearance. However, they had never seen Lu Ming before, so they had no idea that he was Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming did not hide anything. His body began to change and his true appearance was revealed. It's really Lu Ming. Those who had seen Lu Ming before exclaimed in disbelief. I've said it before. How could Lu Ming die? Desolately laughed. The Death God Nation really knows how to put gold on their own face. Ouyang Wushuang also laughed. Young Master, Qiu Yu was overjoyed. Some people who were familiar with Lu Ming were overjoyed. Previously, although they did not believe that Lu Ming was dead, they could not help but worry. The assassin organization of the Death God Nation was too terrifying. They were afraid that it might be true. They were finally at ease when they saw Lu Ming. Why is he still not dead? Some of the people who had a grudge against Lu Ming had a change in their expressions and their faces turned ugly. The masters of the Heng family, the He family, the Daluo Heaven sect, the Wan family, the Golden Crow clan, the Sirius Tower, and other forces stood in the crowd. They were very indignant and very pitiful. They could not wait for Lu Ming to be killed, especially those forces from ancient Moon Holy Land. Lu Ming was getting stronger and stronger. The pressure he gave them was too great, making them extremely worried. It's really you. Yuan, the son of chaos, was shrouded in the light of chaos. He looked like a god of war as he stared at Lu Ming. He had been invincible all his life and rarely suffered losses. However, during the Hunyuan sect's assessment, he had suffered a great loss. He was defeated by Lu Ming and lost the last legacy. Moreover, the inheritance of the Chaos the Arch was also in Lu Ming's hands. He and Lu Ming were bound to have a battle. That's not right. How can he be Lu Ming? Isn't he the son of death who controls the death law? Some people calmed down and finally discovered the problem. Previously, Lu Ming had clearly used the death rule. However, Lu Ming was the son of chaos. The scene was originally very lively and many people were talking about it. Now, it suddenly quieted down and there was no sound at all. Everyone was staring at Lu Ming. Their eyes were wide open and they could not wait to see through Lu Ming. Even the great emperors and those close to Lu Ming, such as Huang Ling, were in disbelief. Everyone, except Qiu Yu, had long known that Lu Ming had mastered the death rule. No one else had seen it before. Chapter 21:14. Chapter 21:14, Uproar. Chapter 21:14. Chapter 2114 Uproar. A person could actually control two types of ultimate laws? Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Some people even suspected that someone was in disguise and pretending to be Lu Ming. However, a great emperor had spoken, proving that this was Lu Ming's true appearance. He had not disguised himself. The scene exploded. It was a complete mess. A single person could actually control two ultimate maxims at the same time, and they were below the rank of a martial supreme. In addition to the array Dao law from before, Lu Ming had mastered three types of ultimate maxims. The pot exploded, it completely exploded. This was unprecedented. Oh my God, this is heaven-defying. Lu Ming is going to defy heaven. How is it possible for a person to control two ultimate maxims at the same time? Even a martial emperor can't do it. The strongest cannot be tolerated. This has been a truth since ancient times. Now, the truth has been broken. There was a clamor. Many people were shouting. Even many of the older generation were like this. The main reason was that the impact was too great. It was as if the truth that he had always believed in had collapsed in an instant, and he could not calm down. Even the emperor could not remain calm. He looked at Lu Ming as if he was a monster. How is this possible? How is this possible? The forces that had a grudge against Lu Ming, such as the Heng family, were all in disbelief. Boom. At this moment, Yuan Exin, Destiny's Child, and the other top geniuses could no longer remain calm. A terrifying aura erupted from their bodies. Invincible! Brother Lu Ming is invincible! Bubbles shouted. Master is invincible! Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli also joined in. Lu Ming touched his nose. He knew that once he revealed his true identity, it would definitely cause an uproar and shock the world. However, he still didn't hide it. That was because if he were to face Yuan Xin, Destiny's Child, and the others later on, he would definitely not be able to hide it and would have to reveal his full strength. Whether he was exposed earlier or later, he would still be exposed. In addition, the energy in Celestial Emperor's corporeal body had already been stored up to 36%. He had more confidence now, and there were fewer concerns. If the Mu family wanted to attack him, Xiangxiang, Shuyue, and the others after the Battle of the Ten Lands ended, he would just take them and run. In any case, the defensive power of Celestial Emperor's corporeal body was astonishing, not to mention that there were also Emperor Wu Xiang, Uncle Kong, and the others. At this moment, Uncle Kong, Emperor Formless, and the others couldn't remain calm. They were all stroking their beards with all their might. They had lived for countless years, but this was the first time they had seen such a thing. Let me go. At this moment, Mu Yang was almost scared to death as he screamed madly. A person could actually control 2 ultimate maxims. No wonder his combat strength was so terrifying. He was about to be scared to death. Mu Yang, you were the one who asked the Death God Nation to assassinate me, right? Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, please spare me, Mu Yang screamed in fear. Many people's hearts skipped a beat. It seemed that it was really Mu Yang's doing. He had asked the people of the Death God Nation to assassinate Lu Ming. They did not know what method Lu Ming had used, but he had actually avoided death and even made the people of the Death God Nation think that they had killed Lu Ming. Despicable. You can't defeat my master, but you secretly ordered an assassin to kill my master. You deserve to die. Master, kill him. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli were filled with righteous indignation. They wanted to kill Mu Yang personally. Mu Yang, have a safe journey. Lu Ming said. Then, under Mu Yang's frightened gaze, he squeezed hard. The terrifying power directly crushed Mu Yang's soul, causing it to scatter. Damn it! The emperor from the Mu family roared, his eyes extremely sinister. A god's son was killed just like that. Their hearts were bleeding. The king body was said to have the potential of a great emperor, and the son of God was undoubtedly even stronger. He had a very high chance of breaking through to the great emperor realm, and he could even take a step closer to the heavenly emperor realm. Any force would treat such a prodigy as a treasure. However, he was killed by Lu Ming in front of everyone. His soul had been scattered. After killing Mu Yang, the stone platform that represented him turned into a puff of smoke and dissipated. Lu Ming returned to the stone platform and floated back. Many pairs of eyes fell on Lu Ming. Some of them were filled with solemnness, while others were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Previously, everyone did not take Lu Ming seriously. No matter how strong an emperor to be was, he would not pose a threat to them. But now, it was different. Lu Ming had killed Mu Yang and, for the first time, mastered 2 ultimate maxims. The most important thing was that Lu Ming did not use the Chaos Law when he killed Mu Yang. If he used the Chaos Law and the Death Law, how powerful would it be when the 2 were combined? Everyone reevaluated Lu Ming's combat ability. Of course, some people were not optimistic about Lu Ming's chances. They thought that it was already unprecedented for him to control 2 ultimate maxims at the same time. It was impossible to merge the 2 ultimate maxims and increase the power. Many people agreed with this view. The competition continued as everyone struggled to calm down. After the battle between Lu Ming and Mu Yang, there were only about 20 people left. It could be said that those who remained were the strongest of the strong. Every battle attracted the attention of the crowd. Destiny's Child, Yuan Xin, Wu Liang, and the others still managed to defeat their opponents. The Death Blade had finally come to an end. He had encountered the true dragon, which seemed to have cultivated the primordial demonic Tao. It was extremely powerful. Although the Death Blade had tried his best, he was still no match for it and was defeated after dozens of moves. In the Star River, he had also encountered a powerful opponent. However, he was indeed very strong himself. He fought with his opponent for over 100 moves and won by a narrow margin. Bubbles had also defeated his opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn again, his opponent was not strong. He was slightly weaker than Mu Yang and was defeated by Lu Ming. Slowly, there were only 13 people left. The 13 stone platforms floated in the air and sized each other up. It could be said that each of these 13 people was extremely powerful. Among them, the Son of Fate, Yuan Xin, Wu Liang, the true dragon who cultivated the immemorial demonic Tao, the immemorial body cultivator, and the Son of Spacetime were the most popular. This was because these people had already reached the martial emperor realm 2 years ago. 2 years later, he would undoubtedly be even more powerful and his strength would be unfathomable. However, these people had yet to meet each other. Could it be related to the stone platform? Lu Ming pondered. Perhaps the stone platform could roughly distinguish the strength of the people. Hence, some of the strongest people would automatically avoid them. This was very possible. If the strongest people had encountered it earlier, it would have been a little unfair. The stone platform spun, and then 2 stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. One of them was Destiny's Child. The person who had collided with Destiny's Child had an extremely ugly expression. He had actually encountered the Son of Fate. The name of the child of destiny was Tianming. It was named after the city of destiny, which showed that his heart was higher than the sky. And he was worthy of this name. Tianming was dressed in white, his long hair reaching his waist. He was extremely handsome, just like the legendary Son of God. He had a smile on his face the entire time. He stood there, but the surface of his body seemed to be shrouded in a layer of hazy radiance, making him look as if he was not in this world. Chapter 21:15. Chapter 21:14, Terrifying Fate Law. Chapter 21:15. Chapter 2114 Terrifying Fate Law. The child of destiny, Tianming, was the most favored candidate to win the championship. Before the competition, Yuan Xin was the only one who was thought to be able to compete with Tianming. Of course, there were many dark horses that had emerged, such as Wu Liang, the true dragon, and the immemorial body cultivator. They were all unfathomable. However, most people still thought that Tianming should have no problem winning. Destiny's Child was someone who could control one's fate. In the course of countless years, there had only been a few of them. Every single one of them stood at the peak and became an expert. Do you want to admit defeat? Tianming asked his opponent with a calm and peaceful smile. Of the top 10 laws, the fate law faintly suppresses the other laws. I'd like to experience it, said the young man. He was also a very powerful son of heaven. 2 years ago, he was about to become an emperor. After 2 years of cultivation, his cultivation had reached the peak of 1-star void emperor. How could he surrender without a fight? Tianming shook his head and said, "From the moment you said that, your fate has already been decided. You are going to lose." What bullshit fate? My fate is up to me, not the heavens. No one can control my fate. The young man shouted and charged toward Tianming. You are destined to be struck by lightning, Tianming said, still smiling. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he finished speaking, endless lightning appeared out of thin air and struck towards the other party. Each bolt of lightning was colorful. There were 5 colors and they were as thick as an arm. Their power was shocking. The densely packed lightning directly drowned the young man. The young man let out a long roar and madly used his divine abilities to resist the lightning. Your fate is to be burned. Tianming spoke again. Then, endless flames appeared. They were all extremely terrifying flames and drowned the young man. Your fate is to be cut by a blade. Your fate is to be hammered. Tianming continued to speak, and every word he said came true. All kinds of attacks were launched at his opponent. The young man finally could not hold on any longer. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying out of the battle stage. As for Tianming, from the beginning to the end, he had a smile on his face. He stood on the stone platform in white and did not move a single step. He was extraordinary. Everyone gasped in shock. The law of fate was too terrifying. Could it really determine a person's fate? If he said that the other party would be struck by lightning, then he would be struck by lightning. If he wanted to be cut by a blade, then he would be cut by a blade. It was as if he was in control of the fate of others. Even Lu Ming's eyes were extremely solemn. Tianming's stone platform flew back, and there were still 12 people on the scene. As long as another 20% of the competition went on, the top 10 would be decided. Soon, 2 more stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. Everyone's hearts trembled again. This time, the one who took the stage was Yuan Exin. His opponent's face also darkened. In the eyes of others, Yuan Exin was a person who could contend with the heavenly mandate realm. It could only be considered bad luck to encounter him. Boom! Yuan Exin attacked directly in a domineering manner. His chaos divine fist was unparalleled in attack power, crushing his opponent as soon as he made his move. Although his opponent was strong, he was still at a disadvantage. He was completely outmatched. Yuan Xin's cultivation is definitely not at the level of a 1-star Void Emperor. I'm afraid she's already at the level of a 2-star Void Emperor. Someone guessed. Many people nodded their heads. This was very normal. 2 years ago, Yuan Exin had already become a Saint Emperor. In the past 2 years, she had encountered many opportunities. How could she not have improved? Not long after, Yuan Xin's opponent was defeated, coughing up blood and retreating from the fighting ring. After Yuan Exin returned, there were still 11 people left. Then 2 more stone platforms collided with each other. It's him, an immemorial body cultivator. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with interest. One of them was the immemorial body cultivator called Baoda. This person was almost 3 meters tall. He was bald and his entire body was pitch black. He was like a piece of black charcoal, but also like a piece of black steel, as if he was filled with endless power. The immemorial body cultivators specialized in cultivating the physical body. They had unparalleled physiques and boundless strength. Their strength could break 10,000 techniques. Lu Ming was very interested. His Raozen had been tempered 5 times in a row and contained 3 wisps of chaos chi. It was already very powerful. But compared to Baoda, there was still a big gap. Baoda's opponent's expression was also very ugly. This was because Baoda was also considered one of the strongest. Why did the last 3 people only encounter the strongest few? Ha, little guy, make your move. Baoda grinned and walked towards the other party like a giant. Boom. Baoda attacked. It was simple and direct. He directly punched out. This punch directly pierced through the space. His pitch-black fist was like an ancient divine mountain that pressed down on the other party. The other party wasn't weak either. It could be said that he was very strong. He erupted with all his strength and resisted Baoda. Unfortunately, he was still no match for Baoda. Baoda's fist landed and directly pierced through the ultimate maxim. His opponent's expression changed drastically as he rapidly retreated. He was almost sent flying off the stone platform by Baoda. Little guy, you can't do it, huh? Baoda laughed loudly. His 3-meter-tall body directly charged towards the other party at an astonishing speed. Boom. The other party used all his strength to blast out a divine art, but it was useless when it landed on Baoda's body. It didn't break Baoda's defense. Baoda's body was like a divine weapon. He broke through the opponent's attack and then ruthlessly hit the opponent's body. The other party grunted, and a crackling sound came from his body. Then, he spat out a large mouthful of blood and his body flew out of the fighting ring. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This Baoda was truly terrifying. His strength was boundless, and he had defeated his opponent in just a few moves, What terrifying strength! It's pure physical strength. In the crowd, Desolate Li and Long Chen's expressions were extremely serious. They cultivated the law of extremity and were known as the ultimate power, but compared to Bao De, they were far from it. Bao De defeated his opponent, and there were only 10 people left. The top 10 had been born. They were Tianming, Yuan Xen, Wu Liang, Bao De, the true dragon Pinker, the son of time and space Yun Haoge, Bubbles, Heng Xinghe, the ancient devil, and Lu Ming. Everyone's eyes fell on the 10 people. All of Mount Yuan was filled with countless chosen, including the 10 most powerful chosen, who were the focus of attention. Alright, now that the top 10 have been born, they'll give you 3 days to rest. 3 days later, the final battle will begin. The white-haired old man stepped out and announced, "Master is too powerful." And Bubbles, Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the rest cheered in excitement. However, most people's expressions were ugly. The geniuses they had high hopes for had all failed and failed to enter the top 10. "Senior, I'm not convinced." At this time, a voice rang out, making everyone quiet down. A young man stepped forward and cupped his fists at the white-haired old man. "I'm not convinced either." "Me too." A few young men walked out and clasped their hands at the white-haired old man. Chapter 21:16. Top 10. Chapter 21:16. Top 10. The crowd recognized 3 of them. They were the last 3 young men who had been defeated by Tianming, Yuan Xen, and Bao De respectively. The other 2 people were recognized by everyone. They were also the 2 people who had met Tianming and Yuan Xen. A total of 5 people. "What do you have to say?" the white-haired old man asked. "Among the 10 of them, some of them are not strong enough to enter the top 10. That's right, they're just lucky. They didn't meet any strong opponents, so they're not convinced." The young men spoke one after another. Everyone understood. These young men felt that they were too unlucky to have met Tianming, Yuan Xen, and the others. They had been defeated because Tianming and the others were too strong. Among the current top 10, many people had not met Tianming and the others. Therefore, these young men thought that they had lost because of luck and not because of strength. Many people had the same thought. Their gazes were especially fixed on Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Xinghe. "I see." The white-haired elder nodded and said, "The stone platform under your feet has a special function, so some people did not encounter it in advance. However, one believed that you will not be convinced without a fight. How about this? One will give you a chance. You can challenge any one of the 10 people. If you win, you can replace them." As soon as he said that, the young men's eyes lit up. At the same time, their gazes landed on Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Xingchen. They were filled with a strong fighting spirit. In fact, they were not convinced by Lu Ming and the other 2. They believed that they were stronger than Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Xingchen. Although Lu Ming had mastered 2 ultimate maxims, he was only an emperor to be after all. Although he had defeated Muyang before, which one of them was not stronger than him? There was also Bubbles, a 3 to 4-year-old child. She was only a 1-star void emperor, so they were not afraid. The same was true for the eternal Star River. It was only a 1-star illusionary emperor. As for the ancient devil, although it was equivalent to a 1-star void emperor, it cultivated the immemorial devil Dao and had extremely powerful combat strength. They were not confident. As for Tianming, Yuan Xen, Wu Liang, Bao De, Aoku, and Yun Haoge, they didn't even consider them. These 6 people had already become divine emperors 2 years ago, and they were unfathomable now. "I'll start the challenge." A red-haired young man stepped out. "Why should you be the one to challenge first?" "I'll go first." "I'll go first." There were a total of 5 young men, and they all shouted loudly, wanting to challenge him first. The first to challenge would definitely have the advantage, and they could choose the weakest. In the end, the white-haired old man asked them to draw lots to decide who would go first. In the end, a tall and thin young man drew the first to fight. Previously, this person had been defeated by Bao De. Now, he was the first to challenge him. His gaze scanned Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Xinghe before finally landing on Xinghe. "You train in the eternal laws as well. Come out and fight." The tall, skinny youth said. He also trained in the eternal laws. I was just about to fight you. Xing Chen's eyes were bright as he stepped forward, exuding a powerful aura. The two of them both trained in the eternal laws. The two of them were not the only geniuses who cultivated in the eternal laws, but they were undoubtedly the strongest. Bang, bang. Suddenly, the two of them began to fight. Eternal laws constantly collided with each other, and the battle was extremely intense. In the beginning, the two were evenly matched. After exchanging more than 100 moves, it was difficult to determine the winner. However, after more than 100 moves, the galaxy began to gain the upper hand and suppressed the other party. The galaxy roared, its aura was wild, its long hair danced in the wind, and its eyes were as bright as the stars. Back then, he had been defeated by Lu Ming. He had been lying low and cultivating with all his heart. He had finally transformed and was stronger than before. Good huh? The emperor of the Hung clan laughed heartily. He was extremely carefree. After a few dozen more moves, Xing Chen sent his opponent flying off the stone platform and won. The first challenge had ended in failure, causing the remaining young challengers to have grave expressions. Originally, in their eyes, Xinghe was the weakest person, but he still failed the challenge. Now it's my turn. The red-haired young man who had been defeated by Tianming stepped forward and his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, come out and fight. The young man with long fiery red hair fixed his eyes on Lu Ming. And you thought one was a pushover? Lu Ming pursed his lips. With a thought, the stone platform under his feet flew forward and the red-haired young man landed on the stone platform. A stone platform was equivalent to a battle platform. Lu Ming, you're not a great emperor yet. Although you've mastered 2 ultimate maxims, I can still defeat you, the young man with long red hair clamored, trying to provoke Lu Ming. Glowing. Before the fiery red long-haired young man could finish his sentence, Lu Ming had already rushed at him. He used the Chaos Laws and the Array Dao Laws. The 2 laws merged and he used the Chaos Divine Palm to strike at the fiery red long-haired young man. The red-haired young man exploded and used all his strength to fight against Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fusion of the Chaos Laws and the Array Dao Laws was more powerful than the fusion of the Death Laws and the Array Dao Laws. After all, the Chaos Divine Palm was a divine power technique of the Chaos Laws. Lu Ming's attacks were like a storm, continuously attacking the red-haired young man. In an instant, he had struck out hundreds of palms. Bang, bang. After over 100 collisions, the red-haired young man's arm went numb and was almost broken. His body trembled continuously as he retreated. From the beginning of the fight, he had been suppressed by Lu Ming and was completely at a disadvantage. It was difficult for him to resist and in the end he retreated from the stone platform. You still dare to challenge me? You're not that great? Lu Ming pursed his lips and flew back along with the stone platform. Lu Ming did not use the fusion of the Chaos Law and the Death Law. Could it be that he really did not fuse the 2 laws together? It's naturally not that easy to fuse 2 ultimate maxims. However, even so, his strength is still very strong, slightly stronger than Xinghe. Some people were discussing. The remaining challengers' expressions turned even uglier. Even the weakest among them had such strength. Could it be that they would not succeed in their challenge? Then a young man challenged Bubbles. Bubbles still did not reveal her true form. Using the mysterious and unpredictable space-time laws, she played with her opponent for 100 to 200 moves. In the end, she also inexplicably sent her opponent off the stone platform and won. The other 2 challengers looked at each other, sighed, shook their heads, and gave up the challenge. Even Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Xinghe were so powerful. If they were to challenge the remaining people, they would not have the confidence to do so. They would only be abused. It was better not to challenge them. At this point, the top 10 were officially born. After a round of challenges, no one doubted Lu Ming and the rest's combat strength anymore. They were worthy of their name. They were the top 10 strongest among the younger generation in Yuanlu. The 10 of them sized each other up and collided with each other, creating a brilliant flame. Yuan Exin, in particular, glanced at Lu Ming with a cold and sharp gaze. Chapter 2117. The Battle Between the Top 10. Chapter 2117. The battle between the top 10. The galaxy, in particular, had the most gazes on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, this time, I'll defeat you. Xing Chen spoke, his eyes sharp and threatening. I'll wait for you to make your move. Lu Ming's answer was very simple. To be honest, he no longer cared about the galaxy. Lu Ming's current opponents were Tianming and Yuan Xing. Haoge, on the other hand, looked at the bubble with a hint of greed in his eyes. Little guy, you must be a kind of divine beast. I can't believe you can master the law of time and space. How about this? Be my beast pet and fight with me. Haoge said. He was indeed burning with passion. If he had a pet that could master the laws of time and space with him, it would be of great help to him. You should be my human pet. Bubbles pursed her lips in disdain. I will make you convinced. Haoge said coldly. Brother Lu Ming, is that person an idiot? He actually wants me to be his beast pet. In a flash, Pow Pow appeared on Lu Ming's body. Her small body was like an octopus as she clung onto Lu Ming. He's indeed stupid. Lu Ming smiled and touched Bubbles' small head. Everyone was stunned. It turned out that Lu Ming and Bubbles had such a good relationship. Could Bubbles be Lu Ming's pet? Was it raised by Lu Ming? That was terrifying. The two of them had entered the top 10. Haoge's face darkened as he cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. On the other side, Baoda, Aoku, and Ancient Devil also looked at each other, their battle power bursting out. The three of them all cultivated the immemorial system and were geniuses. Naturally, they wanted to see who was stronger. Among the 10 people, only Tianming stood there with a calm face. He always had a smile on his face, as if he was not involved in this. At the scene, everyone was looking forward to it. The battle had not even started, and they were already in a state of mutual hostility. The final battle for the top 10 would definitely be very exciting and could be called an epic showdown. In the history of the primordial realm, there had never been so many geniuses, and there had never been a battle of the 10 lands. This battle was unprecedented. Many of the sons of God were reduced to a foil. If this was said decades ago, they would probably be laughed at to death. In the past, a son of God was a legend, a figure that could suppress an era. However, in this era, he was reduced to a foil. This made countless people excited. This battle was destined to be recorded in the history books and be passed down through the ages. You guys adjust your breathing. We'll fight in 3 days. The white-haired old man announced once more. Everyone looked for a place to rest, and Lu Ming walked towards Qiu Yu and the rest. Young master, I knew you would be fine. Qiu Yu was overjoyed. She threw herself into Lu Ming's arms, ignoring the strange looks from others. Lu Ming. Huang Ling walked over with a complicated look in her eyes, but it was hidden by her. Following that, the others came over one after another to greet Lu Ming. Master. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli bowed to Lu Ming. Many people at the side did not know that Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli were Lu Ming's disciples. When they saw them, they were all dumbfounded. Lu Ming was young and extraordinary to begin with. Now, he even had 2 disciples of the Son of God. It was truly shocking. Even the great emperors were very envious. You too, cultivate well and strive to become divine emperors as soon as possible. Lu Ming looked at Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli. At the same time, he thought of himself. It seemed that it would be very difficult for him to become a saint emperor. Looking at the current situation, he was probably going to be surpassed by his 2 disciples. This made his old face blush slightly. Then, Lu Ming saluted Emperor Notionless, Uncle Kong, and the others. Lu Ming, this time, give it your all. After the 10 lands battle, there will be great opportunities waiting for you. Emperor Formless smiled as he sent a message to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. There was still a great opportunity waiting for them. However, thinking about it, it made sense. Previously, they had only been selected, yet they had been able to enter a corner of the world left behind by the primordial realm at the beginning. Their cultivation had rapidly increased, so now that it was the final battle, how could they not have any opportunities? I'll do my best. Lu Ming nodded. After that, Lu Ming chose a spot and sat cross-legged in the air. He circulated his energy and adjusted his breathing to his best condition. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The final battle was about to begin. The white-haired old man stood on the peak of Destiny Mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge fighting stage appeared on the peak of Destiny Mountain. It was 100 miles long and 100 miles wide. It was purple gold in color and full of nobility. Obviously, the following battles would be held on this fighting ring. The final 10 ranking battles will be fought in turns. Everyone will have to fight against the other 9 and be ranked according to their winning rate. The white-haired old man said. Lu Ming nodded. As he had expected, it was indeed this hairstyle. This method of ranking was the fairest. It was completely based on strength and there was no such thing as luck. This method was also the most commonly used method. Lu Ming had encountered this method more than once or twice along the way. Also, you are not allowed to kill anyone in the battle between you two. The white-haired old man added. Many people nodded. The last 10 people were all extremely talented. If they died because of this, it would be a great loss, which was why there was such a rule. Lu Ming secretly felt that it was a pity. He had wanted to take this opportunity to settle the problem of the galaxy. Alright, I'll arrange the order of the battles. The first battle is between Heng Xinghe and Lu Ming, the white-haired elder announced. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He did not expect that he would be the first one to fight. Moreover, his opponent was from the Stellar River. Could it be that the white-haired elder had the intention? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up. This was good too. He would start with the Star River first. Buzz. Lu Ming stepped in and landed on the fighting ring. Xing Chen's figure also landed on the fighting ring. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit, like a flame, burning fiercely. Lu Ming, you're going to lose this time. Xing River shouted, his battle intent soaring. You were already defeated back then. Now, you are even less of a match for me. Lu Ming shook his head, his voice silent. Many people were stunned and looked enlightened. It seemed that Lu Ming and the Star River had already fought. Heng Xing River and Lu Ming are both from Mount Yuan. Naturally, they've crossed swords before. It seems that the galaxy is not Lu Ming's match. They have been defeated in the past. Many people were discussing. That time, it was Lu Ming who took advantage of the situation. The Heng family member explained. The cultivators of the various forces in Yuan Mountain were watching with full attention. Lu Ming and Heng Xing River both came from Mount Yuan. In the past, Heng Xing River had always been known as the #1 prodigy of Mount Yuan. Ever since Lu Ming's rise, this phenomenon changed. Whoever won this battle would be the #1 genius of the Yuan Mountain. Heng Xinghe, I'll crush you. I'll let you understand the difference between us. Lu Ming said calmly. Bang, bang. Then he took a step forward. With each step, a river of laws appeared on his body. Chapter 21:18. Chapter 21:18, Defeating the Star River Again. Chapter 21:18. Chapter 2118, Defeating the Star River Again. Lu Ming took a step forward. With each step, a river of laws would appear on his body. With his first step, the laws of chaos formed a river that surrounded Lu Ming. With his second step, another river of laws appeared. It was the river of the law of death. Chaos and death, the two most powerful rivers of laws, surrounded Lu Ming, attracting everyone's attention. This was because this was a scene that had never appeared in the primordial realm since ancient times. It could be called a miracle. Many people even took out their image exterminating stones to record everything. Then, a shocking scene appeared. The two rivers of laws had actually fused together and turned into a two-colored river of laws. Diffused. The two ultimate maxims have fused together. Someone shouted in excitement. Oh my God, this is heaven-defying. The two ultimate maxims have really fused together. What a miracle! Countless people shouted. Even the great emperors couldn't keep calm anymore. Their eyes were wide open. The fusion of two ultimate maxims was a legend. At this moment, Yuan Xin, Baoda, and the others were all shocked. What the fuck, why is this guy always so perverted? The unscrupulous monk chanted the name of Buddha, and his face turned bitter. Even Tianming, who had always been calm and collected, had his smile disappear. He was surprised. The Star River's mind was also shaken, and it revealed a look of disbelief. "I'll defeat you." Lu Ming strode forward like a bolt of lightning, charging toward the Star River. The Eternal God Bell. The Eternal Star River howled. He was unwilling to give up. He still wanted to fight. A divine bell with ancient patterns on it appeared on his body. Clang. The Eternal God Bell trembled and let out a terrifying sound of killing. Compared to the past, the power of the Eternal God Clock of the Stellar River was much stronger. However, now that Lu Ming's Chaos Law and Death Law had merged, in addition to his extremely condensed saint energy and physical strength, the combat power that erupted was too powerful. Lu Ming ignored the attack from the galaxy. He did not stop and continued to attack. The sounds of killing landed on Lu Ming's body but were blocked by the two-colored river of laws. They could not break through Lu Ming's defense at all. In an instant, Lu Ming was close to the galaxy. Boom! Lu Ming used the Chaos Divine Palm and fused the two ultimate maxims. He struck the Eternal God Bell in the Stellar River with his palm. Thump! The Eternal God Bell trembled crazily and exploded with terrifying sound waves that swept in all directions. Some true emperors and great sovereigns released a layer of light to block the sound waves. Otherwise, many people would have been injured. Those with weaker cultivation might have even been killed by the sound waves. Kacha! A cracking sound came from the Eternal God Bell and cracks appeared on it. The cracks were like cobwebs that covered the Eternal God Bell. Bang! In the end, the Eternal God Bell exploded into light spots and disappeared. Lu Ming's palm force did not stop and it bombarded Xing's body. Xing's body was like a rice straw man. He flew out and fell heavily on the ground, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He was defeated. Xinghe had been defeated in just one move. Many people were stunned. Is the power of the fusion of two ultimate maxims so terrifying? Someone's voice was hoarse and filled with disbelief. Star River was a peerless genius who had made it into the top 10. However, he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. The gap between them was shocking and overwhelming. Since ancient times, no one in the primordial realm has controlled two supreme laws, nor has anyone fused two supreme laws. No one knows what kind of power will be produced when two supreme laws are fused. Someone said solemnly. Everyone took a deep breath. That was indeed the case. Moreover, they recalled that Lu Ming could control a few types of laws. A few types of laws could form a river and would temper his saint energy and physical body every time. No wonder Lu Ming's combat strength was so strong. They finally understood. You've lost. Lu Ming said indifferently, his gaze looking at the galaxy indifferently. Xing Chen spat out another mouthful of blood. He could not accept this result. Back then, he was the #1 heaven's favorite of Mount Yuan. He was high and mighty, looking down on others. When he first met Lu Ming, he did not care about him at all. Even though he knew that Lu Ming was the son of chaos, he did not care. He thought that he was strong enough to suppress all enemies and would not be defeated. However, he was defeated by Lu Ming in the world of the lotus flower. However, at that time, Lu Ming had cast some kind of secret skill. He had always thought that Lu Ming had borrowed external power and that he would not lose if he relied on his own strength. All these years, he had been cultivating in seclusion, especially when he found out about the 10 Lands battle. He cultivated even more arduously. He wanted to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat in the 10 Lands battle. He wanted to completely suppress Lu Ming and trample him under his feet. Even though this time, geniuses were as numerous as clouds, exceeding his imagination, he still made it into the top 10. Unfortunately, his opponent, Lu Ming, had an even more amazing performance. Although he had yet to become a sovereign, he had mastered 2 ultimate laws. This was unprecedented. And now, he had defeated him in one move. His combat strength was so strong that he could look down on him. At this moment, his self-confidence and belief had suffered a huge blow. He kept coughing up blood. Damn it! The emperor of the Heng family roared. Lu Ming was the nemesis of the Heng family. Master is mighty. Master is invincible. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli were shouting and wrangling. They were even happier than if they had won. Do you still want to continue? Lu Ming continued to step forward. The long river of two-colored laws surrounded him, like a god descending to the mortal world. The Star River had not admitted defeat. If he wanted to fight again, it was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. He could beat the Star River ruthlessly. Unfortunately, the galaxy did not give him the chance. I've lost. Xinghe was extremely unwilling, but he could only admit defeat. Otherwise, he would only be tortured. I've said it before. If I can defeat you once, then one can defeat you twice. In the future, you will never be my opponent. Lu Ming left behind these words arrogantly and then flew out of the fighting ring. Xing Chen's expression was ugly. He also retreated from the fighting ring, took a pill, and started to treat his injuries. This was only his first battle. There were more battles waiting for him. The first battle, Lu Ming wins. The second battle, Bubbles versus Yun Haoge. The white-haired old man announced. Many people's eyes immediately lit up. They realized that every match that followed would be very attractive. Bubbles and Yun Haoge had both mastered the space-time law. Moreover, according to the great emperor, Bubbles' true form was a divine beast with a great origin. It made everyone's heart itch as they wanted to know what Bubbles' true form was. Bubbles, you can do it. Lu Ming touched Bubbles' small head. Don't worry, I'll definitely beat up that guy who's so weird. Chirp chirp. Pow Pow cried out. Not far away, Yun Haoge's face darkened. What did he mean by being eccentric? When was he eccentric? With a cold face, he stepped onto the fighting ring, and so did Bubbles. Chapter 2119. The Clash of Space-Time Laws. Chapter 2119. The Clash of Space-Time Laws. Become my tamed beast. We both cultivate the space-time laws. I'll be beneficial to both of us. Yun Haoge spoke again. It's the same the other way around, you can just be my human pet. Pow Pow pouted and said, You don't agree? Yun Haoge's face darkened. I'll beat you up until you agree. Buzz. Yun Haoge moved. As he moved, the space around him rippled like water. His body seemed to be traveling through space at an unbelievable speed. Many people had only just seen him move when Yun Haoge's body had already appeared in front of her in the next instant. His hand reached out and grabbed at her. The bubble did not even have time to dodge and was caught by the other party's large hand. However, Yun Haoge's grip on the bubble missed. The bubble's figure shattered like an illusion. It was just a mirror image and Bubble had already left the place. Just as Yun Haoge grabbed onto Bubble's mirror image, Bubble's figure suddenly appeared behind Yun Haoge. She reached out her tiny hand and attacked Yun Haoge. At the same time, Yun Haoge's figure shattered with a bang. This was also a mirror image, and Yun Haoge's figure had already left. Buzz. In an instant, Yun Haoge's figure appeared behind Pow Pow. Not only that, there were more than 10 other figures of Yun Haoge in the other parts of the fighting ring. So fun, chirp chirp. Bubbles shrieked and disappeared. The next moment, more than a dozen figures appeared and pounced on Yun Haoge. In an instant, figures flashed on the fighting ring. One after another, figures appeared, but they were constantly defeated. In the end, they realized that they were all mirror images. Not a single one hit the real one. Many people with weaker cultivation were dazzled by the scene. It was impossible to see the real body and the mirror image. One could only see that the space on the fighting ring was rippling like water. Figures flashed and attacked. In an instant, dozens or even hundreds of figures were crossing each other. And as time passed, their speed was extremely fast. In the end, the two figures could no longer be seen. Lu Ming channeled the holy power into his eyes and finally caught sight of the two of them. So powerful. The two of them have reached an extremely profound realm in their use of the space-time laws. A true emperor spoke, sighing in admiration. Space-time laws were extremely profound to begin with. An ordinary person wouldn't even be able to touch a person who could control the space-time laws. This was the use of time and space, the collision of time and space. It had only been a minute, but the two had already exchanged countless moves. Let me break your space-time law. Yun Haoge was getting impatient. All of his silhouettes disappeared, leaving only one figure behind. Boom! His aura became even more violent. The world power surged and rushed out with the space-time laws. With him as the center, the space kept collapsing and exploding. Even time had been thrown into disorder. A two-star illusionary emperor. This was Yun Haoge's current realm. He wanted to crush Bubbles with his powerful realm. Bang! Bang! With him as the center, it was as if a level 12 gale had been set off and swept toward the Bubbles. Wherever it passed, space exploded, time was thrown into chaos, and the Bubbles' mirror images shattered one by one. Bubbles' true form appeared, bobbling in the space-time turbulence. Lose, Yun Haoge said coldly. Taking a step forward, he appeared right before her with a sword in his hand. This was a combat sword formed from the power of space-time. It was extremely sharp as it slashed towards Pow Pow. Bubbles waved her hand and a space-time sword appeared in her hand, clashing with her opponent. Bang! The void trembled. In the end, Pow Pow's cultivation level was still slightly lacking. She was only a one-star void emperor. In terms of strength, she was no match for the other party and was sent flying. After Yun Haoge had sent Bubbles flying, he chased after her relentlessly and once again charged towards her. After a few consecutive moves, Bubbles was suppressed and was at a disadvantage. Yun Haoge used his stronger cultivation base to continuously shatter the surrounding space and disrupt the power of time, forcing the Bubble to fight him head-on. Bubbles, you can do it. Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the rest cheered for Bubbles. Be my tamed beast. Yun Haoge's eyes were cold as he stared at Bubbles. Chirping, Bubbles cried out, her eyes filled with rage. A white radiance emanated from her body, and in the next moment, she transformed into her true form. It was a small and exquisite spirit mouse. Its fur was snow-white and sparkling, and it flickered with a little luster. It was exceptionally cute. Could it be a space-time spirit mouse? One of the top 10 war beasts, the space-time spirit rat. Someone exclaimed, and the scene was in an uproar again. It's a space-time spirit mouse. Yun Haoge's eyes burned even more fervently, filled with a glint of greed. He could not wait to have all of them for himself. In the Yuan continent, there were some heaven's favorites who could awaken the bloodline of the top 10 battle beasts. The Yuan realm was vast and there were many such heaven's favorites. However, the heaven's favorites who have awakened the bloodline of the top 10 beasts are only humans. They have only awakened a trace of their bloodline. The difference between them and the top 10 beasts is too great. There were countless divine beasts in the world, but only 10 of them were in the top 10. Every one of the top 10 beasts was unique. In this world, it was impossible for two of the same top 10 beasts to appear. Every single one of them was unique. Only after one of the top 10 war beasts had fallen would a new one be born. In the ancient era, each of the top 10 battle beasts was a peak expert in the world. One could imagine the power and talent of the top 10 battle beasts. But now, it was a young space-time spirit rat, which was very rare. The space-time spirit mouse is mine, mine. Yun Haoge roared in his heart. The space-time spirit mouse was born with the ability to control time and space. If he could get it, it would be a great help to him. Surrender! Yun Haoge continued to charge towards Pow Pow. Human pet, you're the one who surrendered. Paoba called out. Her body glowed and white rays of light spread out, causing the void to ripple like water once again. Buzz! Bubbles' figure disappeared as he traveled through space-time without leaving a trace. At the same time, the space around him started to shrink, pressing down on Yun Haoge. Break! Yun Haoge shouted as his two-star illusionary divine cultivation base burst forth. Along with his space-time law, he was about to shatter the space in all directions. But the next moment his expression changed. He felt that his space-time laws were being suppressed. What was even more shocking was that his space-time laws were being controlled. The space-time laws that burst out from him instead pressed down on himself. Bang! Yun Haoge's body trembled violently as the endless power of space-time pressed down on him, piercing through his world power. His body flew out and he spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? Many people were dumbfounded. Earlier on, Haoge clearly had the upper hand. How did the situation turn around in the blink of an eye? Haoge was injured by Bubble in one move. This reversal was too fast. Chapter 2120. Chapter 2120. Bubbles reveals her true form. Chapter 2120. Chapter 2120. Bubbles reveals her true form. Haoge has been restrained. An immortal emperor explained. Restraint. Some people were puzzled while others were deep in thought. The space-time spirit rat, one of the top 10 war beasts, was born with control over time and space. Although Haoge is the son of time and space, he was born with control over time and space as well. However, there's still a gap between him and the space-time spirit rat. Therefore, he's being suppressed in terms of the space-time law. The great emperor explained once again. Everyone came to a sudden realization. The space-time spiritual mouse could only display its true strength after revealing its true form. It could fully utilize the space-time law and even control Haoge's space-time law. It could be said that Haoge was no longer Bubbles' match. Bubbles traveled through space-time. Her body was small, but wherever she went, space-time accompanied her. Space wrapped around her like water, and endless space-time power charged toward Haoge. Haoge roared. He was unwilling to give up and wanted to turn the tables. Unfortunately, it was useless. At this moment, his control of the space-time laws was no longer effective. It was extremely difficult to control. Without the space-time law, he was no match for Bubbles. Once again, he was sent flying and coughed up blood. With your strength, you still want to take me as your beast pet? You're overestimating yourself. One said, you're more like my human pet. The bubble was extremely excited. It shuttled through the void and swiped its small claws at Haoge. Haoge bellowed in rage. His anger was soaring to the heavens as he unleashed all his strength. However, it was useless. He could not defy the heavens and was completely suppressed by Bubbles. In the end, his face was even scratched by Bubbles' claws, leaving behind a claw mark. You have my mark on your face. You're my human pet now. Chirping eye. Bubbles yelled excitedly while Haoge was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. Many people were speechless. They could tell that compared to the space-time spiritual mouse, Bubbles was still in her infancy. She did not mean to humiliate Haoge, but it was her true intention. However, to Haoge, this was a blatant humiliation. He roared in anger and hatred, but in the end, he still rushed down the fighting ring in humiliation and admitted defeat. He understood that if he continued to fight, he would only be humiliating himself. That guy, yes, that guy has a good relationship with the space-time spirit rat. They'll take revenge on him later. Haoge's heart was filled with anger. He swept his gaze toward Ming. He could not defeat Bubbles and could only get back at Ming. Ming noticed Haoge's gaze and was speechless. Why was this guy staring at him with a face full of resentment? Ming pursed his lips and did not take it to heart. If this guy was insensible, he would not mind giving him a beating when they met. Bubbles had won this match. Buzz. The bubble transformed into a human form again and hung around Ming's neck. Brother Ming, awesome, right? Chirp chirp. Pow Pow pouted. Amazing, amazing. Bubbles is the most amazing. Ming said with a smile. Bubbles is the best. Come, let big sister hug you. Lu Xiangxiang walked over and looked at the bubble, her eyes shining. Lu Xiangxiang had seen Bubbles' original form. They were so cute that her eyes were practically twinkling with stars. Little guy, you're so rude. You have to call me auntie. Chirp chirp. Pow Pow pouted and looked at Lu Xiangxiang with disdain. Lu Xiangxiang immediately left with a bitter face, causing Qiuyu, Feng Ling, and the others to laugh. The surrounding people looked at Ming with envy. Not only did Ming have two sons of God as his disciples, but he also seemed to have a good relationship with the space-time spirit mouse. Haoge's eyes were burning with jealousy. The third match, Yuan Exin versus the Ancient Devil. The white-haired old man announced. The scene fell silent and everyone's attention was pulled back. Two figures stepped into the arena. They were Yuan Xin and the Ancient Devil. Boom. They didn't say much and directly attacked, causing a terrifying collision. Yuan Xin, the son of chaos, punched the air with shocking power. Like mountains, he pressed down on the Ancient Devil. The Ancient Devil's body was covered in demonic light. He cultivated the primordial demonic Tao and had amazing offensive power. He fought fiercely with Yuan Xin. In the first 10 moves, the two were evenly matched. After 10 moves, Yuan Xin didn't hold back anymore, and her full strength erupted. A 2-star illusionary emperor. This was Yuan Xin's strength, and it had already reached the peak of a 2-star void emperor. 2 years ago, Yuan Xin had just broken through to the martial emperor realm. After 2 years of cultivation, she had already reached the peak of the 2-star illusionary emperor realm. This speed was already very shocking. Every breakthrough in the martial emperor realm was extremely difficult and required a large amount of time. Some martial sovereigns were stuck in a realm for hundreds of thousands of years and could not break through. In the end, they died under the lightning tribulation. It was also because she had entered that space that Yuan Xin had been able to break through so quickly. Yuan Xin's full power was extremely terrifying, and she completely suppressed the Ancient Devil. It wasn't that the Ancient Devil wasn't strong. He was very strong. He didn't have many opponents at the same level. Unfortunately, his cultivation was still a little weak. He was only a 1-star void emperor, so it was difficult for him to fight against Yuan Xin. After a few moves, the elder devil coughed up blood and retreated. He was defeated by Yuan Xin. Unfortunately, the Ancient Devil's cultivation is still a little weak. If he could reach the 2-star void emperor realm, he might be able to compete with Yuan Xin. The power of the ancient demonic Tao is really amazing. Some people were discussing the Ancient Devil's potential. But the next moment, everyone was even more excited. There were 4 people left: Tianming, Wuxia, Baoda, and Jianghu. The 4 of them were all extremely terrifying geniuses. They had already broken through to the martial supreme realm 2 years ago. Next, the 4 of them were going to fight, and it would definitely be a true battle of the peak. "You're heartless, cheater," the white-haired elder announced, and everyone's hearts immediately rose. The unscrupulous monk was a heaven's favorite who had suddenly risen in the Buddhist League in recent years. He had revealed his unparalleled talent. He bragged to the outside world every day that he was the reincarnation of a Buddha god and that his predecessor was an unparalleled mighty person who was all-knowing. Although his character was sometimes criticized, his talent and combat power were real. He stood at the peak of the Yuan continent. As for Haoge, a true dragon who had cultivated the immemorial demonic Tao, his demonic body was unparalleled and he was equally powerful. Who would win? Everyone was filled with anticipation. 2 figures stepped into the fighting ring. "Almsgiver, you and I are fated. Why don't you be my guardian divine beast?" The heartless monk said with a serious expression. "Monk, are you insulting me? One will twist your head off." Creek's face revealed a ferocious expression. Check came from the land of the divine beasts. In the land of the divine beasts, there were all kinds of powerful divine beasts, such as true dragons, phoenixes, qilin, and so on. They could be seen in the land of the divine beasts. He was the #1 genius in the land of the divine beasts. Now, the unscrupulous monk had just opened his mouth and wanted to take him in as a guardian divine beast. How could he not be angry? "My hair is white. Benefactor, you want to wring my head off as soon as you open your mouth. Your killing intent is too strong. You must return to Buddha and refine your killing intent," the unscrupulous monk said with a straight face. Long Chen looked at Lu Ming with disdain. This monk was definitely up to no good. "I'll refine your head, kill?" Haoge roared, and his dragon roar shook the sky. He immediately transformed into his true form, a purple-gold true dragon. Chapter 21-21, Buddhist Kingdom in the Palm. Chapter 21-21, Buddhist Kingdom in the Palm. The purple-gold true dragon could be said to be Rhe royal family among the true dragons and was extremely powerful. The dragon claw stepped in the air and clawed at Rhe and scrupulous monk. There were no fluctuations of laws, but no one doubted the power of this claw. It could definitely tear a one-star Void Emperor apart easily. I'm a rice-haired man, so stubborn. Be careful, or I'll catch you and stew you with wine. The monk shouted. The crowd looked at each other. Lu Ming and Long Chen looked at him with disdain again. This was probably the unscrupulous monk's true thoughts. Buzz. The monk's body was covered in golden light. Behind him, a golden Buddha statue appeared. The monk stood on the head of the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue waved its hand, and a hand as big as a small mountain smashed toward Creek. Boom. A terrifying vibration was heard as the two exchanged a blow and were evenly matched. Demon God 9 strikes. Haoge let out a long roar and displayed the terrifying attack technique of the immemorial demonic Tao. His body glowed, and his 5 dragon claws attacked continuously. Each move was extremely terrifying, as it could tear the void and shatter the earth. Fortunately, this battle platform was made by a great emperor and was indestructible. No matter how they fought, they couldn't destroy it. Buddhist Kingdom in the palm. The unscrupulous monk, with a solemn expression, displayed RHE great divine art of Buddhism. He stretched out his hand, and a palm stretched out. It grew rapidly and pressed toward Haoge. There seemed to be a Buddhist kingdom in his palm with 3,000 golden arhats chanting sutras. The golden light was more dazzling than the sun. Boom, boom. The cultivation of the unscrupulous monk and Haoge had both reached the 2-star Void Emperor realm. They were extremely powerful when they fought with all their might. The dragon's roar shook RHE sky, and the sound of chanting sutras resounded throughout the Mountain of Destiny. The two of them continued to fight, exchanging dozens of moves. What a terrifying battle strength. With such battle strength, I'm afraid that even an ordinary 3-star Void Emperor would be torn apart in an instant. An illusionary emperor said with a solemn expression. He's only just broken through to the martial supreme realm and hasn't even comprehended any other laws, yet he's already so terrifying. The others also sighed. In the martial emperor realm, there were many factors that determined one's fighting strength. However, it was truly shocking to have such fighting strength after breaking through to the Void Emperor realm only a few years ago. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. They used all kinds of sacred arts as they began a peak battle. This was the fiercest battle since the competition for the top 10. The two of them were evenly matched, and it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. The battle lasted for more than 200 rounds. I'm the reincarnation of a Buddha god. Little bug, come and protect me. In the future, you'll have good food and drinks. If you have my meat to eat, you'll have your soup to drink. The heartless monk shouted as he fought. Pinker was so angry that his nose was almost crooked. He was a purple-gold true dragon, a royal among true dragons, yet he was called a little worm. Also, aren't the Buddhists vegetarians? Why the hell are you eating meat? Amitabha. Some of the Buddhist cultivators who were watching the battle looked solemn as they chanted the name of Buddha. It seemed that he was a little embarrassed. However, although unscrupulous was not reliable, his battle prowess was indeed unbelievably strong, which made people feel terrified. From the start of RHE battle until now, his body had bloomed with thousands of rays of Buddhist light. It seemed as if he was getting more and more courageous as the battle progressed. It was as if the Buddha god had really turned around, and his dharma was boundless. Many people were indignant. This guy was so unreliable, but his Buddhist divine arts were unbelievably strong. It really made people envious, jealous, and hateful. The battle continued, and both of them were injured. The scales on Chek's body fell off, and it was covered in blood. The unscrupulous monk was scratched by the dragon claw. A few hideous claw marks appeared, and one of his arms was almost torn off. It was a tragic battle. You're too ruthless. Be careful of retribution. The heartless man shouted, but he was more ruthless than anyone else. He used all kinds of Buddhist divine powers to hit Haoge's body, causing a large number of scales to fall. These scales are treasures and can't be wasted. There's also dragon blood. I'll take it back and make soup. During the battle, the monk did not forget to take the opportunity to collect the dragon scales and dragon blood. Creek was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He attacked crazily. In his anger, he finally revealed a flaw, and the unscrupulous monk seized the opportunity to launch a series of ruthless attacks, causing him to spit out large mouthfuls of blood and retreat. In a battle between experts, one step behind would lead to another step behind. Once Pinker was at a disadvantage, it was difficult to reverse the situation. He began to be suppressed and finally was thrown out of the fighting ring. Wu Liang won this round. "I'm a rice-haired man. You've let me win, you've let me win." About the protector that I mentioned before, please consider it. The unscrupulous monk's eyes were glued to check. He fantasized about how cool it would be if he had a purple gold true dragon as his mount. "Get lost." Creek roared. "You and one are really fated." He shouted again. Creek spat out another mouthful of blood, transformed into his human form, and ran to the side to heal. "Little girl, you and one are fated to meet." The heartless monk stared at Bubbles and walked toward Lu Ming. "Get lost." Lu Ming kicked the monk's face. "Lu Ming, you're too cruel. I'm already injured and you still attacked me. 111 Go and recuperate first." The monk chuckled and retreated to the side to recuperate. "Next match, Heavenly Fate, Brutal Virtue," the white-haired old man announced. Everyone's eyes lit up, including Lu Ming's. Tianming was going to fight against Baoda. Everyone was very curious about what kind of sacred art Tianming would use in this battle. Previously, Tianming had defeated his opponent without taking a single step. But now, facing Baoda, could he do it? Baoda was an immemorial body cultivator. His strength was extremely powerful, and he was definitely not weaker than Ao Ku and Wu Liang. It would not be easy to defeat Baoda. Boom. Baoda landed heavily on the fighting ring. His dark skin was flowing with black light, full of power. He was 3 meters tall, like an iron tower. "Tianming, come, let's fight. I want to see how you can control my fate with your fate laws." Baoda shouted. His voice was like thunder, rumbling. "Your fate has already been decided. You will be defeated." Tianming stepped down from the sky, his white clothes fluttering, like a banished immortal descending to the mortal world, and landed on the battle platform. "Whether you're defeated or not isn't something that you can decide with just your words. Show me your strength," Baoda shouted. Then, he took a step forward and rushed toward Tianming like a giant beast. "You are destined to be struck by lightning," Tianming said with a gentle smile. As soon as he finished speaking, endless thunder and lightning appeared out of thin air and struck towards Baoda. Baoda didn't care and allowed the lightning to strike his body. He rushed past it and was completely fine. The lightning could not break through his defense at all. "Is this all you've got? Are you trying to scratch my itch?" Baoda grinned. He didn't stop and rushed toward Tianming. He punched out, shaking the void. A fist force was sent toward Tianming. "It's destined that you won't be able to hit me," Tianming said indifferently. Then, a shocking scene happened. The fist force crushed over and rushed through Tianming's body. Tianming's body was like an illusion. The fist force rushed through him, but he was fine. Chapter 21-22, Guessing the Ranking? Chapter 21-22, Guessing the Ranking. Everyone was shocked. The law of fate was too invincible. He said that he was destined not to be hit, but the other party really couldn't hit him. How could they fight? It's just that Baoda attack power isn't strong enough. If it was strong enough, it could directly break the law of fate. An expert explained to everyone. "It's destined that you'll be burned. It's destined that you'll be cut by a blade." Tianming continued to speak very quickly. Then, all kinds of attacks fell from the sky and bombarded Baoda. Boom, boom. Baoda waved his fist and instantly destroyed these attacks. "I've been burning my body with flames and refining my body with lightning since one was young. Your attack can only scratch my itch." Baoda battle intent grew stronger and stronger. He broke through the layers of attacks and rapidly approached the heavenly mandate realm. His muscles wriggled and his bones cracked as he punched out with all his might. The power of this punch was even more shocking and powerful than the previous one. At this time, Tianming's face finally became a little serious. He pointed out a finger and said, "Destiny said, Absolute defense. A white wall of light appeared in front of him, and Baoda fist force hit the wall of light, causing a terrifying boom that shook the entire fighting ring. You finally made your move. It seems that your strength is also ordinary. Baoda laughed and waved his fist, causing the light wall in front of Tianming to shake. Baoda, you are destined to be injured. Tianming spoke again. A bright light bloomed from his body as he pointed with his finger. At this moment, Baoda roared. He seemed to have encountered an invisible and terrifying attack. His body trembled and he retreated a few steps, blood spilling from his mouth. Everyone was shocked. They didn't see anything attack Baoda at all. They only said that Baoda was going to be injured, and Baoda was injured. This kind of method was too shocking and unimaginable. Your attack power is limited. If you have the ability, let's see if you can kill me directly. Baoda roared and once again rushed toward Tianming. His body swelled up, and his already burly body became even more shocking, like a giant. Boom! Baoda stomped heavily on the fighting ring, like a black lightning, like a demon mountain, and pressed toward Tianming. It's destined that you'll be injured. Tianming opened his mouth again and launched many mysterious attacks. Break, break, one force breaks all techniques. Baoda roared and kept punching out with both fists. The void was directly pierced through. The attacks of Tianming were also destroyed by Baoda one by one. He didn't have any techniques on him. Baoda's strength is so terrifying. His strength is slightly above Wu Liang's and Haoge's. He's a natural-born primordial body cultivator. If such a person were to cultivate in a nomological system, he'd be a piece of trash. However, if he were to cultivate a primordial body cultivator, he'd be a rare genius. Experts spoke one after another, shocked by Baoda's strength. Tianming's face was a little serious, but it was just a little serious. Great fate technique. He spoke softly, and the light on his body became even more dazzling. Boom. He waved his hand, and a divine light slashed toward Baoda. Thump. Boom. Baoda kept swinging his fists and bombarding the divine light. However, the divine light was firm and indestructible. With every punch, Baoda's figure was pushed back a bit. After dozens of punches, Baoda had already retreated dozens of miles out of the fighting stage. At this time, that divine light automatically dissipated. Damn it, I haven't fought enough. Let's fight again. Baoda roared like a mad beast. Then, his body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. You've lost. Tianming's face became calm again, and he turned around to leave. Such powerful strength, it's hard to estimate. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at Destiny, the child of destiny. Tianming gave people the feeling that he was unfathomable. Although Baoda had forced a part of Tianming's strength out, no one knew whether this was Tianming's final strength or whether he was still hiding his strength. Not only Lu Ming, but the other paragons such as Yuan, Haoge, Haoge, and the others also had grave expressions on their faces. Tianming's strength gave them a lot of pressure. One really want to fight you. I will prove to everyone who is the number one in the world. Yuan murmured, her battle intent exuberant. What a freak. How can we fight him? Wu Liang's face was bitter. All right, the first round of the competition is over. Lu Ming, Bubbles, Wu Liang, Yuan and Tianming are the victors. They each have 1 point. Next, we will proceed to the second round. Lu Ming versus Bubbles. The old man announced. Lu Ming and Bubbles were stunned. They met each other so quickly. Did the old man do it on purpose? I admit defeat. One don't want to fight with brother Lu Ming. One admit defeat. The bubble hung on Lu Ming's neck and refused to come down. The people watching the battle were calm and not too surprised. They had long known that it was impossible for Lu Ming and Bubbles to fight. One of them would definitely admit defeat. All right, Lu Ming wins this round. Next round, Haoge versus Yuan. The white-haired old man announced once more. Haoge versus Yuan. This was also a battle of the peak, and the battle was extremely intense. However, in the end, Yuan used 2 types of nomological laws and fused them together, defeating Haoge in one fell swoop. This shocked everyone, and they had to re-evaluate Yuan Xin's combat strength. Yuan Xian had actually comprehended a second type of law, and it was a king path law at that. The fusion of the two had greatly increased his strength. This made people marvel at Yuan Xin's talent. He had only become a divine emperor not long ago, but he had already comprehended a second type of nomological law, and his level of mastery was not low. In the third match of the second round, Creek was up against the Galaxy. This was a battle without any suspense. The Galaxy was crushed and lost 2 rounds in a row. The fourth match, Ancient Devil versus Bauda. The two of them both cultivated the ancient cultivation system. Unfortunately, Ancient Devil's cultivation was slightly weaker. He was no match for Bauda and was easily defeated. The fifth match, Tianming versus the Unscrupulous Monk. The unscrupulous monk admitted defeat without even going up the stage. In his words, he knew that he couldn't win, but he still fought. Was he stupid? The second round of the competition had ended. The only ones who still maintained their winning streak were Lu Ming, Tianming, and Yuan Xian. After 10 matches, the crowd had already begun to predict the rankings of the 10 people. Without a doubt, Tianming is the strongest. He will be the champion this time. It's hard to say. Yuan Xian isn't weak either. What he's showing now might not be his full strength. He might be able to fight against Tianming. Judging from the current situation, the top 2 should be Tianming and Yuanxin. It's very likely that Bauda will be in third place, but it's not certain. All in all, the top 5 should be Tianming, Yuanxin, Bauda, Wu Liang, and Haoge. Everyone made their own judgments and conjectures, but most of them believed that it should not be a problem for Tianming, Yuan Xian, Bauda, Wu Liang, and Haoge to get into the top 5. As for Lu Ming, he's not weak either. He has mastered 2 ultimate maxims. He's not weak. There's no problem for him to overpower the Galaxy and ancient demons. However, compared to Yun Haoge and Bubbles, he's probably not as strong. One estimate that Lu Ming's final ranking should be 7th. This speculation is reasonable. Chapter 21-23, Battling Yun Haoge. Chapter 21-23, Battling Yun Haoge. The third round began in the midst of everyone's discussion. Lu Ming seemed to be very lucky. He was up against the Ancient Devil in the first round. Just as everyone had expected, the Ancient Devil was very powerful, but it was no match for Lu Ming and was defeated by him. This was the second time that the Ancient Devil had lost to Lu Ming. Lu Ming had achieved 3 consecutive wins. I guess Lu Ming's winning streak ends here. None of the opponents he's going to face next are weak. They're all stronger than him. That's right. 3 consecutive wins. One reckon he'll lose 6 in a row. Some people discussed and felt that Lu Ming's winning streak would end here. In the second match of the third round, Bubble fought Chella. This was a battle of the peak, a fierce battle. Although Bubble's cultivation base was slightly weaker, her strength had increased tremendously after transforming into her true form. Her control over the space-time laws had also reached an unimaginable level. Although Creek was strong, it could not hit the Bubble. Of course, it would not be easy for Bubble to defeat Check. It could be said to be very difficult. In the end, after more than 200 moves, Pinker was accidentally teleported out of the battle stage by a space-time tunnel opened by Bubbles. In this battle, Paoba had won. This made everyone re-evaluate Bubble's strength and re-recognize the power of the top 10 beasts. In a battle of the same level, even the Son of Heaven was inferior to the top 10 war beasts. Next, it was Yuan Xin's battle against the Star River. Needless to say, the Galaxy had suffered another crushing defeat. This made his expression turn uglier and uglier. There were already people who were certain that the Galaxy would definitely be ranked 10th. There was no suspense. The fourth match, Immortal versus Virtuous. This was yet another battle of the pinnacle. Unscrupulously, he displayed the golden body of Buddhism and various Buddhist divine powers, but his violent virtue broke all Dharma with one force. The two of them exchanged hundreds of moves. The unscrupulous monk shouted, but it was useless this time. He was no match for Bauda and was finally defeated and thrown out of the fighting ring. Bauda won this round. The last match of the third round was Tianming versus Haoge. I can see my own fate in the long river of time. Haoge let out a long howl and used the laws of time and space to fight against destiny. The laws of space and time could indeed somewhat counter the laws of fate, because he could see his own fate through the long river of time. Of course, fate was changing at every moment. What he had seen was only a small part. After that, Tianming used the Great Fate technique to cut off Haoge's long river of time and defeated him. At the end of the third round, it was still Lu Ming, Tianming, and Yuan who won 3 consecutive rounds. However, everyone thought that Lu Ming was just lucky in the first 3 rounds. He was going to lose in the later rounds. Tianming and Yuan on the other hand, were both earned through fighting. After a few rounds, the white-haired elder let everyone rest for half a day. After half a day, the 4th round began. The first match of the 4th round was still Lu Ming's first match. However, his opponent this time was Haoge. Haoge looked excited, and the two of them stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming, your luck is running out. You'll be defeated in this battle. It'll let you understand that you can't have the space-time spirit mouse. Haoge said coldly. Your space-time law is too weak. You're not my match. Admit defeat so that I don't have to fight. Lu Ming was very direct. He told Haoge to admit defeat. This stunned everyone. They felt that Lu Ming had exaggerated too much. Although Lu Ming had mastered 2 ultimate maxims and could be said to be unprecedented, he only had the cultivation base of an emperor to be after all. How could he be Haoge's match? Haoge's cultivation had already reached the level of a 2-star illusionary emperor. Furthermore, even if they were at the same level, he was still one of the best among the children of heaven. With such a huge difference in cultivation, how could Lu Ming be his match? You want me to admit defeat? What a joke, I'm going to torture you. Haoge said darkly. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged towards Lu Ming, shuttling through the void at an astonishing speed. In the process of Haoge's charge, the void in all directions began to distort. A terrifying force pressed down on Lu Ming. This energy contained the power of time and contained the ability to slow time. It made Lu Ming's speed as slow as a turtle's. There was also the power of space. The space in all directions kept squeezing Lu Ming, trying to bind him. On the contrary, Haoge's speed increased sharply with the help of the space-time law. He closed in on Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. With a point of his finger, the power of space condensed, containing a terrifying tearing force, and charged towards Lu Ming. In the face of such a scene, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Boom! He struggled with all his might, and his physical body and saint power burst out. The void trembled, and the space power on his body kept exploding. Then, a long river of 2-colored laws appeared. This was the fusion of the laws of chaos and the laws of death. Boom! Lu Ming's arms trembled as he swung his palm. The void exploded, and the power of space-time that was acting on his body was cut apart. Lu Ming's palm flew toward Haoge. However, Haoge's body disappeared in a flash and reappeared behind Lu Ming, launching a blow at him. Bang! It was as if Lu Ming had eyes on the back of his head. He struck his palm backward, clashing with Haoge's. Haoge's figure drifted backward. Then, his body trembled, and a dense crowd of figures appeared from all directions. So many figures charged at Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. This was a terrifying killing move. Don't think that the densely packed figures were all illusions. In fact, these figures were all real. They were all Haoge's real body. He was shuttling through the void and walking in different spaces. This move was a move he used in different spaces. Chaos Finger. Facing this move, Lu Ming used the Chaos Finger of Tribulation. He extended both his hands and pointed out repeatedly. Push, push, push. Finger forces burst forth, and each finger force pointed at a figure. Those figures exploded one by one and finally turned into one figure. After that, Haoge and Lu Ming exchanged dozens of moves, displaying the various profoundness of the space-time law to the fullest. However, his control over time and space was not as good as Bubbles. Lu Ming protected himself with 2 types of nomological laws and remained unmoving, breaking all of Yun Haoge's attacks. Yun Haoge finally lost his patience. "I'll suppress you with my cultivation." Yun Haoge's eyes were cold. His 2-star illusionary divine cultivation was completely unleashed as he charged toward Lu Ming. Wherever he passed, space-time storms were created, engulfing Lu Ming. A head-on confrontation? That's just what I want. Lu Ming smiled and stood there without moving. When Yun Haoge was about to arrive, a long river of laws appeared on Lu Ming's body again. It was the river of array Dao laws. The river of array Dao laws fused with the laws of chaos and death, causing the river of laws that surrounded Lu Ming to turn into 3 colors. Lu Ming's combat strength had increased greatly after he had integrated another King Path law. Boom! He struck out with his palm, and the force of his palm was like an avalanche as it headed straight for Yun Haoge. The space-time storm around Yun Haoge's body collapsed instantly. He screamed and retreated, spitting out blood. Chapter 21-24. Chapter 21-24, 5 consecutive wins. Chapter 21-24. Chapter 2124, 5 consecutive wins. As soon as Yun Haoge retreated, Lu Ming followed suit. He approached Yun Haoge at an alarming speed. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, Lu Ming struck out with more than 100 palm strikes. The void exploded, and more than 100 palm prints completely enveloped Yun Haoge from all directions, causing space-time to be in chaos. At that moment, Yun Haoge could not escape using the space-time law even if he wanted to. He could only take Lu Ming's palm force head-on. He shouted in anger, activating the space-time law and exploding with the power of the world to fight Lu Ming head-on. After more than 100 consecutive palm strikes, Yun Haoge's body trembled violently as if he had been electrocuted. The space-time law that covered his body was destroyed, and his arm exploded. He could not resist Lu Ming's palm force. Finally, Lu Ming slapped Yun Haoge across the face, causing him to fall to the ground and convulse. Bang! Then, Lu Ming kicked Yun Haoge's face, sending him flying off the stage. "You want to abuse me? You're not just a little bit weaker," Lu Ming said calmly. Yun Haoge fell down from the fighting ring, his face swollen like a pig's head. It took him a long time to come to his senses. When he realized what had happened to him, he was so furious that he spat out another mouthful of blood. This time, it was really embarrassing. "Brother Lu Ming, well done. Well done." Bubbles was clapping her little hands in celebration. The way many people looked at Lu Ming had changed. It was beyond many people's expectations that Lu Ming could actually defeat Yun Haoge. That's right. He has also mastered array Dao laws. One didn't expect him to have already cultivated 3 types of laws to perfection and even fused them together. He's indeed talented. He's not even a saint emperor, but he can cultivate 3 types of nomological laws. It's rare. No wonder he's so strong. Every time a law was fused, its power would increase explosively. Even many low-level void emperors would find it difficult to fuse 3 types of laws. Putting aside the fact that Lu Ming had mastered 2 ultimate maxims, even if he only mastered 3 ordinary maxims, his talent was shocking. Previously, everyone thought that Lu Ming would only be able to get the 7th place and would not be able to compete with people like Heartless, Check, and Bauda. But now they had changed their minds. The fact that he could defeat Yun Haoge meant that Lu Ming's abilities were already at the level of Heartless, Cheater, Badeo, and Bubbles. They were qualified to compete for the top 5. He had yet to become a Saint Emperor, but he already had such an achievement. It was truly shocking. In this way, Lu Ming achieved 4 consecutive victories. In the second match of the 4th round, Bubbles was up against the unscrupulous monk. "I have no hair. Little guy, you and I are really fated." In the fighting ring, the heartless monk looked at Bubbles seriously and almost drooled. This was one of the top 10 war beasts. The unscrupulous monk's heart was burning with passion. "Monk, it seems like you're looking for a beating." Pow Pow could not be bothered to waste her breath on the unscrupulous monk. This was what Lu Ming had taught her. She would attack the unscrupulous monk whenever she saw him. "Little guy, you and I are really fated." The unscrupulous monk shouted. He didn't hesitate to attack. His entire body was covered in Buddhist light. Those who didn't understand the unscrupulous monk would really be deceived by his appearance and think that he was an eminent monk. Bubbles did not dare to be careless. He immediately transformed into his true form and controlled space-time to travel. The space-time spirit rat was already very powerful, and its control over time and space was far above Yuan Haoge's. This exchange was extremely strange because the unscrupulous monk could not hit Bubbles at all. No matter how he used his Buddhist Kingdom palm, Buddhist lion's roar, Buddhist giant palm imprint, and other divine arts, he could not do anything to Bubbles. Instead, he was sometimes ambushed by Bubbles and was flustered. In the end, he was sent flying out of the fighting stage by Bubbles. "Monk, you're really thick-skinned." Bubbles pursed her lips. The bubble could only send the monk flying out of the fighting ring because the monk's golden body of Buddha had an extremely strong defense. The bubble could not break through it. Of course, it would be a different story if Pao Pao's cultivation level had improved and she was on the same level as the unscrupulous monk. The third match of the fourth round, Yuan Exin versus Czech. This was another pinnacle battle, the Son of Chaos versus the primordial demonic Tao. Haoge transformed into a purple-gold true dragon that was 1,000 meters long. Purple light flowed all over his body, and his dragon claws tore through the void. He displayed the magical power of the demon race and fought with Yuan Exin. However, although Cheek was very strong, he was still a little weaker than Yuan Exin. Yuan Exin had used 2 nomological laws and defeated Cheek. Then, Tianming versus Heng Xinghe. There was no suspense. Heng Xinghe directly admitted defeat. And in the 5th match, Baoda fought against Ancient Devil. Without a doubt, Baoda won. The 4th round ended, and not long after, the 5th round began. The first match of the 5th round, Ming versus Czech. Pinker's eyes were solemn. The strength that Ming had displayed earlier was enough to threaten him. Hence, Pinker used all his strength as soon as he made his move. He transformed into a purple-gold true dragon and pounced at Ming. Ming's body glowed, and a shocking dragon's roar came from within. It made Haoge's body tremble, and his expression changed drastically. 9 dragons, Creek's expression was a little ugly. In a battle between experts, every second counted. Creek was slightly stunned, but Ming had already rushed over, erupting with the Chaos Law, Death Law, and Array Dao Law. The 3 laws combined into one and unleashed a storm of attacks, suppressing Creek. Creek barely managed to block dozens of moves and was blasted off the fighting ring by Ming. Ming won. This made many people reevaluate Ming's combat ability. They thought that he already had the strength to compete for the top 3. I'm afraid Ming can fight with Baoda. However, compared to Yuan Xin and Tianming, he's still a little weaker. That's right. If there are no accidents, he should be hovering between 3rd and 4th place. Some people discussed and re-evaluated the rankings. The first match of the 5th round had ended, and the second match was Bubbles versus Yuan Xin. This battle was extremely intense. In her true form, Pao Pao had pushed her space-time laws to their limits, making them unpredictable. However, Yuan Xin was indeed powerful. Just like how Ming had fought Yuan Haoge previously, he had used his powerful strength to break the space-time law. Ultimately, Bubbles did not win this battle. After exchanging many moves, seeing that he was at a disadvantage, he simply admitted defeat. The third match was Heartless versus Ancient Devil. Heartless won. After that, Tianming and Baoda won, respectively. After entering the 6th round, the atmosphere became lively in the first round. This was because in the first round, Ming was fighting against Baoda. In the eyes of most people, Ming and Baoda were at the same level and they were the most powerful candidates to fight for the 3rd place. Whoever won this round would get 3rd place. Ming, you're impressive. You're not a Saint Emperor yet, but you already have such combat power. The old Bao admire you. However, I'm sure 111 win this round. Baoda grinned. His eyes revealed a fierce light, like a big black bear. Big guy, don't be so full of yourself. Ming smiled faintly. Then let me see how powerful the fusion of two ultimate maxims is. Bao's expression was ferocious. He took a step forward and his entire body was like a mountain as he charged towards Lu Ming. With a punch, the space exploded and was compressed together, turning into a terrifying fist force that crushed toward Lu Ming. Chapter 21-25. Chapter 21-24, Defeating Bao. Chapter 21-25. Chapter 2124 Defeating Bao. The fist force whistled and the space trembled. This was pure strength. His extremely powerful physical strength was extremely shocking. An immemorial body cultivator. I'd like to see how abnormal your physical body is. Lu Ming did not dodge at all. He burst out with 3 types of laws and cast the chaos divine palm, blasting it out. Thump. The palm and the fist collided with a deafening howl. The space where the 2 fists met was like a wave, shaking. Lu Ming and Bao's bodies trembled at the same time and they retreated a few steps. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. Tyrannical virtue relied purely on the strength of the physical body. It was powerful and terrifying. That punch caused Lu Ming's 3 types of laws to shake and they were almost pierced through. Lu Ming's physical body had refined 3 wisps of chaos qi and was tempered by the river formed by 5 types of laws. It was already extremely powerful. However, it was still far from being comparable to Bao. It was said that in the Heaven Realm's immemorial era, there were great ancient body cultivators who had invincible physical bodies. They could cross the universe and stand on the ground. They could destroy the stars in the sky with a single punch. They were incredibly powerful. When one's physical body was cultivated to the extreme, it would be indestructible and immortal, existing with the heavens and earth. Again! Bao roared and charged at Lu Ming like a wild beast. His muscles swelled and his body expanded again. Come! Lu Ming shouted. 3 types of laws revolved around him, and the power of his physical body and holy power exploded to the extreme as he fought Bao. Thump, thump, thump. The 2 of them were like 2 wild beasts, constantly colliding with each other on the fighting ring. There was no technique, it was purely a head-on fight. Bao was an immemorial body cultivator. His physical body was indestructible. Even an ordinary sovereign weapon would be blown apart by Bao punch. Lu Ming's physical body was also very strong, and his holy power was condensed and thick. Most importantly, the law of chaos was as heavy as a mountain and could suppress the world. Under the blessing of the law of chaos, Lu Ming had infinite strength. The 2 of them had similar styles. They kept colliding with each other, making the fighting ring rumble. If this was a battle outside, it would definitely be a scene of mountains collapsing and the earth cracking. How terrifying! Seeing the 2 of them fighting, many people's faces turned pale. It was too fierce. Under such power, any technique was unnecessary. Even some ultimate maxims would be torn apart. Even a 2-star illusionary emperor would be easily blown up. The 2 of them fought for over 100 rounds. Satisfying! Lu Ming let out a long howl. After an intense battle, he was becoming more and more familiar with the use of the laws, especially the laws of chaos. The laws of chaos formed a river. For the current stage, it was already perfect. However, Lu Ming felt that he had yet to reach the end of the law. There was still a path ahead, but it was blocked by the fog and he could not see clearly. Now, the fog had finally dispersed a little. Lu Ming had a feeling that if the law could be improved, its power would increase by leaps and bounds. One finally met a decent one. This is great. Bao also laughed, and his attacks became more and more violent. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had fought another 100 rounds. At this point, Lu Ming became more and more courageous as the battle progressed. He finally began to gain the upper hand and suppressed Bao until he started to defend himself. Bang, bang. In the end, Bao began to retreat. With every step he took, the fighting ring would rumble violently. Stop, stop fighting, stop fighting. At this time, Bao suddenly shouted. Lu Ming retracted his hands and retreated. Bao gasped for breath, his whole body drenched in sweat, and it took him a long time to recover. "You pervert! I'll admit defeat today. Let's fight another day," Bao said. "All right, sure." Lu Ming nodded. It was good for him to have a strong opponent to fight with. Bao jumped and rushed down the fighting ring. Lu Ming had won. Many people widened their eyes. Lu Ming had actually defeated Bao. In this case, he would definitely be in the top 3. This was beyond the expectations of many people. Previously, they thought that it would be good enough if Lu Ming could enter the 7th place. Now, the rankings can almost be seen. Many people began to deduce the ranking based on the previous battle results. Everyone felt that the 1st and 2nd place should be between Tianming and Yuan. Lu Ming would be 3rd, Bao would be 4th, and Bubbles would be 5th. This was probably the situation for the top 5. Now, everyone was looking forward to the main event, and that was the Battle of Destiny against Yuan. As long as the two of them were able to determine the winner, the top 10 rankings would basically be set. "You've underestimated my master. Who knows, maybe my master can defeat Yuan and Tianming." Lu Xiangxiang pouted in displeasure when she heard that the people around her thought that Lu Ming could only be ranked 3rd. "Hee, little girl, you're really blindly confident. Your master is strong, but it's impossible for him to compete with Tianming and Yuanxin. He's definitely no match for them. We can understand the little girl's feelings of trusting her master, but you have to see the reality." A few white-haired old men kindly reminded Lu Xiangxiang. Your judgment is never accurate. You even said that my master could only get the 7th place." Lu Xiangxiang pouted. "We were wrong before, but this time, we're definitely not wrong." The few elders were certain. Lu Xiangxiang pouted and ignored the elders. The competition continued as Bubbles fought against Destiny. Bubbles admitted defeat immediately. According to him, he was too lazy to compete since he couldn't win anyway. After that, Haoge defeated Haoge, Yuan defeated Wu Liang, and Ancient Devil defeated Xinghe. With that, Galaxy was already in last place, not even as good as Ancient Devil. In short, other than Lu Ming's unexpected defeat of Bao, the rest of the battles were within everyone's expectations. The 6th round ended, and the 7th round began. "The heavenly mandate is against Yuan Xian," the white-haired elder said. As soon as the voice came out, the scene fell silent, then burst into an uproar. The main show was here, the biggest main show was here. Tianming versus Yuan Xian. This seemed to have been deliberately arranged by the white-haired elder. In the previous rounds, Lu Ming would fight in the first match. Now, the first match of the 7th round was between Tianming and Yuan Xian. The atmosphere was ignited. Countless people revealed looks of anticipation. In everyone's eyes, this was a battle between the champion and the runner-up, a battle between the two strongest geniuses of the primordial realm. Tianming and Yuan Xian also emitted a strong fighting will, and their eyes met in the air. Although both of them came from the Divine Land and were known as the peerless duo of the Divine Land, they had never fought before. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. He felt that in the previous battles, neither Tianming nor Yuan Xian had used their full strength. In this battle, he would be able to see how strong they were. Buzz! Buzz! In a flash, the two of them rushed up to the fighting ring. Boom! The terrifying auras collided in the air, causing a violent boom. Just the collision of auras formed a gust of wind that swept across the fighting ring. Chapter 21-26, Fate vs. Chaos. Chapter 21-26, Fate vs. Chaos. I will defeat you in this battle and break the legend of fate. Yuan Xian said, full of confidence in herself. Fate cannot be broken. Everything in the world has a fate. Even the birth and destruction of a world have its own fate. Therefore, the laws of chaos are also shrouded by fate. The heavenly mandate spoke, and his clothes were whiter than snow, untainted by dust. You can't control my fate. My fate is in my hands, not the heavens. It's not up to you to kill. Yuan Xian burst out, and his figure was like a phantom as he rushed toward Tianming. Chaotic laws filled the air, and the chaotic divine fist burst out. You are destined to be struck by lightning. Tianming spoke again, as if his words were law. As he spoke, all kinds of lightning, flames, ice, poisonous water, swords, and other things were thrown at Yuan Xen. Boom, boom. The Yuan Xen waved her fist, and all the lightning and flames were destroyed. Tianming, you don't need to test me. Show me your true strength. Yuan Xen strode toward Tianming. The aura of two nomological laws emanated from his body. The two nomological laws merged, and he threw a punch. Boom. The fist force pressed forward, stronger than Buddha fist force. Great fate technique. Tianming no longer tried to probe and used the divine ability of the laws of fate. He stretched out a finger and pointed it forward. A beam of light burst forth like a ray of light and a divine blade, blasting toward Yuan Xen. Boom. Yuan Xin's fist force was shattered, and the light of fate continued to blast toward Yuan Xen. Break! Yuan Xin's fists kept swinging. In an instant, she had thrown hundreds of punches, shattering the space. The light of fate had been blocked and finally defeated. He blocked it. Yuan Xen is indeed powerful. Someone exclaimed. Previously, as long as Tianming used the Great Fate technique, no one could resist it and was directly defeated. Even someone as strong as Buddha couldn't block it. But now, Yuan Xen had blocked the light of destiny. Perhaps, heaven's will could really go against heaven's will. Kill! After Yuan Xen destroyed the light of fate, she took advantage of the situation to attack Tianming. No one can block the light of fate. Fight with me. Your fate is already decided. You will definitely lose. Tianming whispered as he continued to point out with his finger. In an instant, dozens of destiny lights shot out. These lights took on different shapes. Some were in the shape of swords, some were in the shape of sabers, and some were in the shape of spears. They turned into all kinds of weapons and attacked Yuan Xen. Each one of them was shockingly powerful. Yuan Xen raised her fist to block, but there were too many rays of fate light. Each one was extremely powerful. Yuan Xen was suppressed and retreated continuously. Yunshin is no match for him. The laws of fate are truly invincible. Some people sighed. If even Yuan Xen was no match for him, then who else could be Tianming's match? No, Yuan Xen can still fight. He's about to explode. Someone shouted. Boom. At this moment, Yuan Xin's aura rose sharply again. His cultivation base was still at the peak of the 2-star Void Emperor realm, but his aura had truly skyrocketed. Chaotic divine body. Yuan Xen roared. The endless chaos laws between heaven and earth gathered toward Yuan Xen. His body was undergoing a strange change and turned gray, as if his physical body had become a chaos stone. Yes, it was a chaos gem. When Lu Ming used the chaos divine palm, his palm would turn gray like a chaos gem. And now, Yuan Xin's body had become like this. This was a terrifying secret technique. Boom, boom. Yuan Xin's body seemed to have really turned into an indestructible rock of chaos. He kept punching out with his fists, destroying all the rays of fate that were bombarding him. For the first time, Tianming's eyes showed a hint of solemnness. His body glowed with a myriad of rays of light. He pointed his finger continuously, and the light of fate continued to burst out, blasting toward Yuan Xen. However, Yuan Xin's chaotic body had greatly increased his battle strength. Each punch could destroy a light of fate, and he charged toward Tianming, approaching him at an extreme speed. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that Yuan Xen was really going to change her fate, defy the heavens, and defeat the heavens today? Under everyone's shocked gazes, Yuan Xen approached Tianming and punched out, penetrating Tianming's chest. However, Tianming's body was like an illusion. It was like nothing happened. Fate has determined that I will not be defeated. No matter what you do, it is useless. River of Fate, come out. Tianming spoke, and a huge river appeared under his feet. This was not because his nomological laws had reached perfection and formed a long river, but because it was the legendary river of fate. The fate of all living things in the world, everyone's fate, was in the river of fate. Everyone's fate was already determined from birth. Tianming stood in the river of fate, as if he was the master of heaven and earth. Boom, boom. Yuan Exin kept swinging his fists, trying to break through the river of fate. However, when his fist force hit the river of fate, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. Everything in the world is in the river of destiny, and you are no exception, Yunxin. Tianming spoke and stretched out a hand. He grabbed at the river of fate and a figure appeared. Everyone was shocked, because the figure that Tianming had grabbed from the river of fate was exactly the same as Yuan Exin, but it could be seen that it was just an illusion. You are destined to be defeated. Tianming whispered and pointed out a finger. A beam of light burst out and hit the phantom, leaving a big hole in the chest of the phantom. At this moment, Yuan Xin's body trembled violently as if he had suffered a terrifying attack. He tried his best to resist, but in the end he was forced to retreat more than 10 steps. Everyone saw a bloody hole appear in his chest, and blood was flowing out. The crowd gasped. The law of fate was too strange. Tianming had only grabbed an image that looked exactly like Yuan Exin from the river of fate. When he attacked the image, Yuan Exin had actually been injured. Those who defy fate will be punished. Tianming continued to speak and pointed out with his finger again. The illusionary figure was pierced through again. Yuan Xin's body trembled violently and he retreated continuously. Another wound appeared on his body. The scene was silent. This was too strange. Furthermore, the heavenly mandate was too strong. Who could match such strength? Then, Tianming continued to attack. Every time he attacked, Yuan Exin had to retreat, and a wound appeared on her body. In the end, Yuan Exin spat out a mouthful of blood and was seriously injured. Alright, this battle ends here. Yunxin, you've lost. At this time, the white-haired old man stood up and stopped the duel. He was afraid that Yuan Xin's injuries would be too serious and affect the later battles. Yuan Exin was a little unwilling. In the end, she gritted her teeth and left the fighting ring. He knew that he had lost. He was no match for Tianming and could not be number 1 in the world. I'm not strong enough yet. I want to be stronger. Legend has it that the Chaos Scripture records all kinds of terrifying superpowers based on the Chaos laws. I must get them. Yuan Exin was unwilling to give up. She looked at Lu Ming with a murderous look. As long as he could get the Chaos Scripture, he would be able to defeat Tianming and become the number 1 in the world. Chapter 21-27, Lu Ming vs. Yuan Exin. Chapter 21-27, Lu Ming vs. Yuan Exin. Tianming is number 1 in the world. No one can rival him. The ranking is pretty much clear. Tianming is first and Yuan Exin is second. It's a pity that Lu Ming is only an emperor to be. If he becomes an emperor, he might be able to compete with Tianming. There aren't so many ifs. Tianming is ahead by 1 step and he will only become stronger in the future. I'm afraid Lu Ming will never be Tianming's match. The crowd discussed. In the end, someone who was hostile to Lu Ming spoke up and deliberately belittled Lu Ming, causing Lu Xiangxiang, Pao Pao and the others to glare at him. In the 7th round, after the battle between Tianming and Yuan Exin, the following battles were not too surprising. Those who were expected to win had all won. Lu Ming had also won. He had no conscience in this battle. The unscrupulous monk dawdled for a long time. After exchanging a few moves with Lu Ming, he directly admitted defeat. Lu Ming, you're a freak. I thought that one could suppress you after so many years. One didn't expect that I'm still not your match. The unscrupulous monk had a bitter expression. Hey, what are you saying? What do you mean by abnormal? This is my talent, understand? Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at him. My hair. Wu Liang stopped talking and stepped aside. After the 7th round ended, the white-haired old man let everyone rest for 3 days. They would fight again after 3 days. This was because some people, like Yuan Exin, were injured, which would affect their combat strength. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and everyone had recovered to their peak states. Lu Ming against Yuan Exin. As soon as the 8th round began, the white-haired old man released the most important battle. To be honest, everyone was looking forward to this match. This was because this was a battle between the two sons of chaos, and it was also a battle between the second and third place. Most of them thought that Lu Ming would not be Yuan Xin's match because the abilities that Yuan Xian had displayed previously were too shocking. But after all, it was a battle between two sons of chaos, which was a rare sight. Yuan Xin's eyes were filled with a fiery light as she stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming also stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming, this time, it'll make you lose miserably. Yuan Xian glared at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. I'm sorry, but one have to tell you something. No one has ever been able to surpass me after being defeated by me, not even you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? Everyone was stunned. What did Lu Ming mean by this? Could it be that Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xian in the past? How was this possible? Very quickly, news spread that Lu Ming and Yuan Xian had a battle during the Hunyuan sect's assessment. Yuan Xian had lost that battle. Everyone was surprised that such a thing had happened. It seemed that the two sons of chaos had a grudge against each other. Back then I was only suppressed. If one wasn't suppressed, one would have suppressed you with a flip of my hand. Lu Ming, hand over the chaos scripture. You're not qualified to wield it. Yuan Xin's face was cold. If I don't have the right, do you? You want the chaos scripture? Why don't we make a bet? Lu Ming sneered. What are we betting on? Yuan Xian said coldly. Let's bet on this battle. If I lose, I'll give you the chaos scripture. If you lose, you'll listen to me for the rest of your life. How about it? Lu Ming said. I won't bet with you. Yuan Xian said coldly. You dare not? Are you afraid of losing? Lu Ming said. I won't lose. I want the chaos scripture. I'll just defeat you and take it from you. Yuan Xian was very confident. After he finished speaking, he did not say anything else and walked toward Lu Ming. Boom! A powerful aura burst out of his body, and the laws of chaos and another law permeated the air. It was a king path law, but it wasn't very mature yet. However, it still strengthened Yuan Xin's combat strength. Chaos Divine Fist. Yuan Xian made his move. He swung his fists continuously, and the void rumbled. With every punch he threw, a huge mountain would form, crushing down on Lu Ming. This was a mountain formed from the laws of chaos, and it was extremely powerful. Boom! Lu Ming moved as well. 3 types of laws burst out and went against the flow. He used the Chaos Divine Palm and struck out several times in a row. Bang! Bang! Each palm could shatter a mountain. The mountains evolved from the laws of chaos exploded in the air. Chaos Finger! After crushing a few mountains, Lu Ming cast the Chaos Finger of Tribulation again. A huge Chaos Finger of Tribulation formed and crushed toward Yuan Xian. Yuan Xian threw a few punches and destroyed the Chaos Finger of Tribulation. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had already arrived. He struck out with the Chaos Divine Palm in succession, and in an instant he had struck out hundreds of palms. Yuan Xian waved his fist and fought with Lu Ming. The two figures moved unhindered as they engaged in a great battle. For a time, it was difficult to determine the victor. The laws of chaos pervaded the entire stage. Yuan Xian was very strong. He was a peak 2-star illusionary emperor. In terms of cultivation, he was much stronger than Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's body and saint energy had been tempered 5 times. Moreover, he had 2 ultimate maxims and 3 king path maxims. With the fusion of the 3 maxims, he had completely made up for the lack of cultivation. Lu Ming is really strong. He can actually compete with Yuan Xian. However, Yuan Xian still has a secret skill that he hasn't used yet. Lu Ming is destined to lose. Someone spoke up and acknowledged Lu Ming's combat strength. However, he felt that Lu Ming would still lose. Yunxin, bring out your strongest combat power. This is not enough. Lu Ming said in the middle of the battle. Since you want to experience it, I'll crush you. Chaotic Divine Body. Yuan Xian let out a long roar, and the laws of chaos boiled. His body seemed to have turned into a chaos stone. After performing this secret skill, Yuan Xin's combat strength increased greatly. He threw a punch and clashed with Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and he could not help but take 5 to 6 steps back. Bang, bang. Yuan Exine took advantage of the situation to pursue and attack. She kept punching out with both fists, forcing Lu Ming to retreat. Lu Ming, you're no match for me. Hand over the chaos scripture. Yuan Exine shouted, and his attacks were wild. Why are you so anxious? It seems that against you, 3 types of laws are still a bit lacking. Then 4 types of laws it is. As he spoke, another river of laws flowed out of Lu Ming's body and fused with the 3 types of laws from before. The next moment, a 4-colored river of laws appeared on Lu Ming's body. After merging with one more law, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. He struck out with his palm and exchanged a blow with Yuan Exine. Both of their bodies trembled violently and they retreated. However, Lu Ming took 2 steps back, while Yuan Exine took 4 steps back, for types of laws. Lu Ming has actually comprehended 4 types of laws. My God, it's the law of devouring. 2 supreme laws and 2 king path laws. This is really heaven-defying. This is too terrifying. Everyone was shocked, and someone shouted. The main reason was that it was too shocking. Previously, Lu Ming had not used his full strength and had held back. Not only had he mastered 2 ultimate maxims, but he had also comprehended 2 other king path maxims, both of which had been perfected. How old was Lu Ming? How did he cultivate? Many people couldn't stay calm, and even many emperors were dumbfounded. Chapter 21-28, The Final Peak Showdown. Chapter 21-28, The Final Peak Showdown. Master is invincible. Shizhuan will definitely win. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli shouted in excitement. Luo Tianyi, Feng Ling, Long Chen, and the others were also dumbfounded. Although they knew that Lu Ming was abnormal, they did not expect him to be so abnormal. What a freak. Do you want me to live? The unscrupulous monk's face became even more bitter. How is that possible? How is this possible? Those who had a grudge against Lu Ming, such as the Heng family, the He family, the Daluo Heaven sect, the Wan family, the Golden Crow clan, and other forces, widened their eyes in disbelief and fear. The more powerful Lu Ming was, the more frightened they were. Yuan Exine herself was also extremely shocked. He had also comprehended a second type of nomological law and knew how difficult it was to comprehend other nomological laws. It would be even more difficult to fuse them together. He had only succeeded in that world. However, not only did Lu Ming control 2 ultimate maxims, but he had also comprehended 2 other king path maxims. He had comprehended 4 of them in total and had perfected them. He had fused them together. This was simply unbelievable. Even with his intelligence, he was still shocked. So what if you have 4 types of laws? It'll still defeat you. Yuan Exine let out a long howl and charged toward Lu Ming with an imposing aura. His body glowed with a dark light, as if he was made of chaos stone. He was firm and immortal. Bang! Lu Ming stepped forward and used the chaos divine palm to confront Yuan Exine. Bang! Bang! The fighting ring shook again. In an instant, the two had exchanged more than 50 moves. However, Lu Ming's combat strength had already surpassed Yuan Xin's after he used 4 types of laws. The more laws he fused, the stronger the power would be, multiplying it. After more than 50 moves, Yuan Exine was completely at a disadvantage. She was forced to retreat by Lu Ming. Yuan Exine was indignant. He roared and fought Lu Ming fearlessly. He couldn't lose. This time, it was different from the Hunyuan sect's assessment. This time, it was a real battle. They used all their combat strength without holding back. It was also a battle between the Sons of Chaos. If he lost to Lu Ming, he would definitely not be able to obtain the inheritance of the Chaos the Arch. Moreover, he would have to live in Lu Ming's shadow for the rest of his life. This would be a fatal blow to his martial path. Lu Ming, one won't lose if you can't break my chaotic divine body. Yuan Exine roared. You're thinking too much. Lu Ming waved his palm continuously and pushed Yuan Exine back. He then hit Yuan Xin's chest with his palm. Boom. Yuan Xin's body trembled violently, and she was forced to retreat. Her face turned pale, and she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, Lu Ming continued to swing his palm upwards. In an instant he struck out hundreds of palm strikes, and the palm prints enveloped Yuan Xin's entire body. Yuan Xen tried his best to resist, but the palm prints still hit him. Bang, bang. Yuan Xin's body trembled continuously. In the end, cracks actually appeared on his body, as if he was about to split apart. He vomited a mouthful of blood as his body was sent flying, and he fell heavily on the fighting ring. He was defeated. Yuan Xen had been defeated. The entire place was silent. Not many people had expected this outcome before the battle. Most of the people had always thought that Tianming was first, Yuan Xen was second, and Lu Ming would be third at most. It was impossible for him to be a match for the first two. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xen. His next opponent was only destiny. Master is invincible. Lu Xiangxiang shouted excitedly. Then, she looked at the few elders not far away and said, "One told you, my master is invincible. No one is his match." The old men's faces turned red. Previously, they had said that Lu Xiangxiang was blindly confident and wanted her to see the reality that Lu Ming was no match for Yuan Xen and Tianming. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xen. Even though the few old men had lived for many years, they couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Uncle Kong and Emperor Notionless also smiled. Lu Ming's progress had far exceeded their expectations. "Do you still want to fight?" Lu Ming stepped forward and walked toward Yuan Xen. "I didn't lose, one won't lose to you." Yuan Xen howled wildly, extremely unwilling to give up. He rushed up again and charged toward Lu Ming. However, he was already injured. How could he be Lu Ming's match? After a few moves, he was sent flying again. His body was about to crack, and his body was covered in cracks, oozing blood. With Lu Ming's current abilities, he could shatter the void with one palm and destroy a mountain that was 100,000 feet tall. The power was shocking. It was already very shocking that his Yuan Xen could survive so many palm strikes. Yuan Xen roared angrily and wanted to fight again, but the white-haired old man stepped down from the sky and stopped him. "You've already lost. You may leave," the white-haired elder said. Yuan Xen finally stopped and looked at Lu Ming with extreme unwillingness. Her eyes were flickering with cold, killing intent. "After today's defeat, you will never be my match. Also, you are not worthy of controlling the chaos scripture." Lu Ming cast a nonchalant glance at Yuan Xen and turned to leave. Yuan Xin's body trembled, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. After that, the competition continued. However, the following matches were all within everyone's expectations. There was nothing surprising. Everyone was looking forward to the final round. The 9th round, the last round. After this round, each of the 10 of them had fought against the other 9. In the 9th round, Lu Ming would be going against Destiny. Before this, no one had any expectations for this battle. They thought that Tianming would definitely win. However, after Lu Ming defeated Yuan Xen, everyone changed their minds. At the very least, Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xen and was qualified to compete with Destiny. After the 8th round ended, they rested for a while, and the 9th round began immediately. In the last round, the white-haired elder seemed to have intentionally left the battle between Lu Ming and Tianming to the end. Everyone was itching to fight, but they could only wait for the previous battles to end. There were no surprises in the previous battles. By the time the previous matches were over, everyone already knew the ranking this time. Other than the first and second place, which were still unknown, the rest of the rankings had already been confirmed. Third place, Yuan Xen. He only lost to Lu Ming and Tianming. Fourth place, Baoda. Fifth place, Bubbles. Sixth place, Unscrupulous Monk. Seventh place, Check. In 8th place, Haoge. 9th place, Ancient Devil. 10th place, Star River. In the Star River, he had lost all 9 battles and had not won a single one. He had made his expression extremely unsightly. Especially when he saw the last battle between Lu Ming and Tianming, his face turned even gloomier. At this point, Lu Ming had already left him far behind. The last battle, Tianming against Lu Ming. The white-haired old man finally announced the names of the two people. Countless people's hearts were in their throats. It was finally the final battle. This battle would determine who was the strongest heaven's favorite among the primordial realm's younger generation. Was it Lu Ming or destiny? One had yet to become a sovereign, but he had already mastered 2 supreme laws and 2 King Dao laws. This was unprecedented. The other was the rare child of destiny who controlled fate and was unparalleled in the world. Who was stronger? Chapter 21-29. Chapter 21-29, Great Battle against Tianming. Chapter 21-29. Chapter 2129 Great Battle against Tianming. 2 figures appeared in the air and landed on the fighting ring, attracting everyone's attention. Tianming, dressed in white, was shrouded in a mysterious light, like a banished immortal descending to the mortal world, untainted by dirt. With a faint smile, he looked at Lu Ming and said, "You are very strong, but you are still destined to lose." "Bullshit. I control my own fate. No one can control my fate. If anyone can, I'll crush them all." Lu Ming was extremely overbearing. He didn't believe in the so-called fate, that his destiny was in his own hands, not the heavens. Only when one was strong enough could one change or even reverse fate. The people before didn't believe it either. They thought that they could go against fate, but in the end, they couldn't escape fate. Tianming didn't get angry and said indifferently, as if he was in control of everything, "Oh, then have you seen your fate? The fate of being beaten up by me until you become a pig's head?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. "My fate has already been decided. I won't lose." The heavenly mandates whisper. "Then I'll change my fate and let you lose once." Boom. 4 types of laws burst out from Lu Ming's body. The 4 types of laws fused. Lu Ming's body was like a cannonball, smashing toward Tianming. "You are destined to be injured," Tianming said softly and pointed with his finger. There was no energy fluctuation, but at this moment, Lu Ming's hair stood on end and his pupils constricted. He felt a terrifying force bombarding him and crushing him. Buzz. Lu Ming shook the law, and the 4 types of laws converged to form a 4-colored river of laws. It surrounded his body and blocked the strange energy attack. Is this the law of fate? It's just a type of law. Although it's mysterious and strange, it can't really decide a person's fate. It still needs energy to attack. Lu Ming had some understanding of the law of fate. Boom. Lu Ming burst out and broke through the energy attacks in one fell swoop. He then charged toward Tianming. "Tianming, don't mess with these useless things. Use your divine ability," Lu Ming said. His figure was like lightning as he rapidly approached the heavenly mandate realm. "As you wish, great fate spell." The light on Tianming's body became even more intense. His figure was almost invisible as he was covered by the light. He pointed his finger and a ray of fate light turned into a combat sword, slashing toward Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming also pointed a finger and cast the chaos finger of tribulation. An extremely condensed finger force burst forth and destroyed the light of fate. However, the destiny finger pointed out continuously. Beams of light of fate turned into various weapons and attacked Lu Ming. These weapons were extremely powerful and had terrifying killing power. Tianming's cultivation base was also at the peak of 2-star illusionary emperor, but his battle strength was absolutely amazing. Each ray of fate light could kill an ordinary 2-star illusionary emperor in seconds, and even an ordinary 3-star illusionary emperor in seconds. Lu Ming circulated the law and covered his palm. He used the chaos divine palm and struck out continuously. Bang, bang, bang. The rays of fate light were destroyed by Lu Ming and dissipated like fireworks. Lu Ming was valiant and invincible. He continuously destroyed the light of fate that was attacking him. His figure was approaching Tianming at an extremely fast speed. In the end, Lu Ming broke through the barrier and pointed his finger. A chaotic finger of tribulation shot toward Tianming. Tianming's pupils constricted. A river of fate formed under his feet, and he was in the middle of it. However, Lu Ming's current attack power was stronger than Yuan Xin's. The finger of tribulation of chaos crushed over, shaking the river of fate. Everything is shrouded by the river of fate. Lu Ming, you shall be defeated. Tianming let out a long cry and grabbed out a figure from the river of fate. That figure looked exactly like Lu Ming, but it looked illusory. It was struggling in the hands of destiny as if Lu Ming's fate was really in the control of destiny. He pointed out the finger of destiny, and a ray of light pierced through the body of the shadow. At the same time, a terrifying force appeared out of thin air and blasted toward Lu Ming, trying to penetrate his body. Lu Ming roared loudly. The 4 types of power of law shook continuously to block that force. Bang! Bang! The 4 types of nomological laws were constantly shaking and breaking down bit by bit. The power was too ancient and terrifying. No one knew where it came from. Even the fusion of 4 types of nomological laws was difficult to resist. Bang! In the end, Lu Ming retreated frantically and the 4 types of laws were pierced through. However, after the force pierced through the 4 types of laws, he was almost offset. It only left a shallow mark on Lu Ming's body and he was not injured. Lu Ming is going to lose, however, it's enough to show how terrifying Lu Ming is. Yuan Xen was no match for this move and was seriously injured. However, Tianming's move is too terrifying. Seeing that Lu Ming was forced to retreat, everyone guessed that the final winner of this battle would be Tianming. Some of the forces that had a grudge against Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lu Ming was not that heaven-defying. Fate cannot be defied. The heavenly mandate spoke. He stood in the river of fate as if he was about to turn into a deity. He pointed out 2 fingers in a row and pierced through the shadow in his hand. At the same time, Lu Ming suffered a terrifying attack. The laws trembled and Lu Ming retreated rapidly. However, he was blocked in the end and was not injured. Bullshit. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged toward Tianming. Tianming continued to attack with his fingers, and the force of his fingers pierced through the shadow. Lu Ming encountered a terrible attack. There were several terrible forces attacking him. Boom! Lu Ming was sent flying a few hundred meters. His body trembled and he felt his qi and blood churning. Lu Ming, I admit that you're a rare genius. However, it's difficult for you to defy the heavens. You can't resist fate. Tianming coldly spoke, his voice high and mighty. You're so confident, is this all you've got? Lu Ming sneered. What? Tianming frowned. How can you defeat me with this little bit of strength? You can't hurt me now. Lu Ming said. Many people were shocked. It was true. Tianming could only force Lu Ming back but not severely injure him. Lu Ming could use his strong defense to stall for time and make it difficult to determine the winner of this match. Tianming's face darkened. His body glowed with multicolored light and he struck out with his fingers continuously. However, he could only repel Lu Ming but not hurt him. Is this your limit? Then today, let me break fate. Lu Ming let out a long howl. His body was like lightning as he rushed toward Tianming. Boom! In the process of charging out, the aura on his body became stronger and the 4-colored river of laws turned into 5 colors. With this, the entire scene was ignited. Oh my God, 5 colors, 5 laws. Lu Ming has mastered 5 laws. Am I seeing things? It's true. It's too terrifying. There's no limit. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. Previously, Lu Ming had displayed 4 types of laws, which was already shocking enough. Everyone guessed that that was most likely Lu Ming's limit. But now, Lu Ming had displayed 5 types of laws. What was his limit? Chapter 2130, Chapter 2131, Breaking Fate. Chapter 2130, Chapter 2131 Breaking Fate. Lu Ming revealed 5 types of laws. The fusion of the 5 types of laws caused a commotion. Many people could not remain calm. Lu Ming had no limits. Now there were 5, but no one was sure if he would reveal 6 later. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Mua were so excited that they jumped up and down. Buzz! Lu Ming crossed the void and was close to his destiny in an instant. Tianming's pupils contracted, his eyes extremely serious. His body was almost fused with the river of fate, becoming illusory. At the same time, he continuously pointed at the shadow. This time, he pointed at the center of the shadow's eyebrows. The shadow's glabella was pierced through. Lu Ming, who was charging at him, encountered a terrifying attack. An extremely sharp force attacked Lu Ming's glabella. However, now that Lu Ming had fused 5 types of laws, his combat strength had increased greatly. The laws vibrated and blocked the force. Then, Lu Ming struck R with his palm and bombarded the incoming force. Boom! A deafening boom erupted and the void trembled continuously. The force that was used to attack Lu Ming was very shocking, but it was still defeated by Lu Ming. Eat my finger and see. One Lu Ming charged forward and pointed his finger at the same time. The energy of heaven and earth exploded, forming a giant chaotic finger of tribulation that crushed toward the Destiny River. Voila! This time, the river of fate couldn't resist the power of the finger of tribulation of chaos. The river was rolling and shaking, and thousands of waves were raised. Boom! 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 As the finger of tribulation of chaos pressed down, the river of fate seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. At this moment, the entire stadium was silent. Many people didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This was because they knew that this was the most crucial moment. It was the moment where victory and defeat would be decided. Who would win? River of Fate slash. Tianming howled. He was absorbing the power of the river of fate, turning into a ray of light and slashing at the finger of tribulation. Boom! A deafening explosion occurred in the sky. The light from the heavens will slash blocked the chaos finger of tribulation and dissipated. Again! Lu Ming pointed a few more times. Endless energy gathered and a total of 3 fingers of tribulation of chaos blasted toward Tianming. Tianming could only try his best to resist. The situation had been completely reversed. Just now, when Tianming cast the river of fate, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. But now Tianming was at a disadvantage again. The situation changed rapidly. With another 3 rumbles, the 3 fingers of tribulation were blocked, but Tianming's figure retreated rapidly. The river of fate shook, and the light became a little dim. You've broken through my defense. Tianming roared. You're still so confident even now. Till break your confidence then. Lu Ming stepped in the air and clenched his fist. A huge sword light condensed in the air. The Sword of Death. This was a killing move that Lu Ming had created himself. It contained 4 types of laws: death, devour, array, Dao, and extremity. This wasn't a simple fusion of laws. Instead, it was a magical power technique that was constructed by unleashing the various uses of the 4 laws. This kind of sacred art was much more powerful than the simple fusion of laws. Although Lu Ming could only unleash the magical effects of the 4 types of laws at Rhe initial stage, he could nor stop it. This divine power had become one of Lu Ming's strongest killing moves. Slash! Lu Ming shouted and slashed his sword. This sword directly cut open the void and cut Rhe heavenly fate. Tianming tried his best to block it, but Ir was useless. His river of fate trembled madly and was cut in 2 by the Sword of Death. Then it exploded. Tianming retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood stained his snow-white robe. Tianming had been injured. The river of fate had been broken, and he had suffered heavy injuries. Lu Ming did not stop. He used the finger of tribulation of chaos and pointed at Tianming with several huge fingers. Tianming had not been thrown out of the battle stage, nor had he admitted defeat. The battle had not ended. Tianming was unwilling to give up and tried his best to resist. However, he had been severely injured and his combat strength had weakened. Moreover, the river of fate had been cut off. He could not fight against Lu Ming at all. After a few moves, he was sent flying 100 miles away. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and his face was pale. He had already been sent flying out of the fighting ring. You've lost. Lu Ming stood in the middle of the fighting ring and spoke indifferently. He was defeated. The heavenly mandate had lost. The audience was silent at first, but when they came to their senses, they were in an uproar. Lu Ming is really heaven-defying. He defeated Tianming with his emperor-to-be Cultivation. The legend of the law of fate has been broken. Fate can be broken, and man can conquer nature. The scene was in an uproar. No one had expected that destiny would be defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had defeated Tianming and stood at the peak. In the beginning, no one thought highly of Lu Ming. When they found out that Lu Ming had not broken through to the martial supreme realm, they were even ridiculed by Muyang. At that time, no one would have thought that Lu Ming would be able to enter the top 10. No one would have expected that Lu Ming would come in first. My master is invincible. I knew my master was invincible. Lu Xiangxiang jumped up in excitement, not forgetting to look at Rhe elders nearby. The few elders were also dazed. When they saw Lu Xiangxiang's eyes, they could nor help but blush. Young master is so amazing. Qiu Yu's face was full of smiles. Huang Ling, Long Qin, Luo Tianyi, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others were also smiling. The Death Blade looked at Lu Ming in silence. On the other hand, Heng Xingha's face was extremely gloomy and even had a trace of fear. Lu Ming's combat strength had exceeded his imagination. If Lu Ming had used his full strength, he could have killed him in one move. Brother Wuxiang, Brother Kong, Brother Heng, Brother He, I heard that this Lu Ming came from Mount Yuan. I didn't expect that Mount Yuan would produce such a heaven's favorite. Congratulations! Some of the great emperors congratulated Uncle Kong, Emperor Formless, the great emperors of the Heng clan, and the He clan. Haha. Uncle Kong and Emperor Notionless laughed heartily. Great emperors He and Heng snorted coldly with extremely gloomy expressions. They could not wait to slap Lu Ming to death. It would be strange if they looked happy when other people congratulated them. How did this happen? The ones with the ugliest expressions were Rhe Heng family, the He family, and of course, the Guyu Holy Land's Golden Crow clan, the Wan family, and other forces. Their faces turned pale. Lu Ming's talent was too terrifying. If Lu Ming continued to grow, they would all be annihilated in the future. When they thought of this, they were terrified. Damn it! Yuan Xian bellowed. He was not willing to accept that Lu Ming had actually gotten first place. Tianming was also unwilling to give up. His eyes flashed sharply, but he eventually calmed down. All right, Rhe battle of the 10 lands has ended. The white-haired old man walked out and said with a smile. Now, I will announce Rhe names of the top 10 in Rhe Patrol of the 10 lands. First place, Lu Ming. Second place, Tianming. Third place, Yuan Xian. Then, the white-haired old man announced the rankings. Chapter 2131. People from the Heaven Realm. Chapter 2131. People from the Heaven Realm. Earth-shattering cheers rang out in the venue. Without a doubt, Lu Ming was the center of attention. The Battle of the 10 Lands gathered all the paragons of the entire primordial realm. Furthermore, this generation was known as the Golden Age. Many paragons emerged, and strong cultivators gathered. Many sons of heaven were reduced to mere foils, attracting worldwide attention. Lu Ming, on the other hand, stood on top of all the paragons and fought at the peak. He used his abilities to prove to everyone that he was the strongest. He's already so terrifying even before becoming a Saint Emperor. His future is limitless. With such heaven-defying talent, if he continues to grow, he'll probably become the strongest person in the world. Most of the people were discussing Lu Ming. However, Yuan Xian and Tianming were ignored. The Son of Destiny and the Son of Chaos were originally brilliant and dazzling, attracting the attention of the world. But at this moment, all the brilliance was snatched away by a single person. Brother Lu Ming, you're really amazing. The bubble hung on Lu Ming's body, reluctant to come down. Master is so powerful. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli also came over and looked at Lu Ming with admiration. In their eyes, Lu Ming was invincible. Lu Ming, Congratulations. Wang Ling, Long Chen, and the rest also came over to congratulate Lu Ming. To be honest, it was beyond their expectations that Lu Ming could defeat Tianming. Everyone, this matter isn't over yet. Now, it's time to give you your rewards. At this time, the white-haired old man's voice rang out again, and the scene suddenly became quiet. That's right, all those who had passed the selection before had been rewarded and could enter that corner of the world to obtain great opportunities. What about now? How could there be no reward? At the very least, the rewards for the top 10 would definitely be shocking. Especially the first place. Many people looked envious as they looked at the white-haired old man, trying to guess what the reward was. However, there was no doubt that the rewards would definitely be more generous than the previous screening. The reward this time is a little special. You'll have to wait for a while. You'll know when the time comes. The white-haired elder came to an ancient altar on the peak of Destiny Mountain. He waved his hands and beams of light entered the altar. The altar glowed with a bright light. A beam of light broke through the void and disappeared into the sky. Everyone was curious, but they didn't ask much and waited patiently. This wait lasted for 2 days. On this day, deep in the sky, there was a dull roar, and then a bright golden light covered half of the sky. Guys, look, there's a door. Someone exclaimed. In the depths of the sky, where the light was the brightest, a door suddenly appeared. This wasn't a door of light. It seemed to be made of solid bronze. Roar. The door was open, and at this moment, roars could be heard from behind the door that shook the world. Dragon's roar. Many people could tell that this was the roar of a true dragon. Then, everyone saw the sound of footsteps in the air coming from the gate, and the dragon's roar was getting louder and louder. Then, everyone saw 9 true dragons rush out of the gate. 9 true dragons lined up, pulling a huge chariot, and appeared in the depths of the sky. On the chariot, there were many figures. Most of them were young people, looking to be in their 20s. There were men and women, and each of them had an extraordinary temperament. There was a middle-aged man on the chariot. He was wearing iron armor and exuded a terrifying aura. It was the aura of a great emperor. At the highest point of the chariot sat a figure. However, this figure was shrouded in divine light and his appearance could not be seen clearly. Many people were shocked. Who was this person? It had actually appeared from the depths of the sky, and it was being pulled by 9 true dragons. There were also true dragons in Yuan Mountain. At this moment, many of them had ugly expressions. It was an insult to the True Dragon clan to have 9 true dragons pulling a carriage. However, the middle-aged man's aura was too shocking. It was filled with killing intent and boundless killing intent. It was as if he was in hell. Even many emperors had serious expressions. The true dragon stepped on the air and came to the sky above the mountain of destiny, floating there. The white-haired elder and the other great emperors all came forward and cupped their fists. Greetings, emissaries of the Heaven Realm. What? Heaven Realm emissary? Everyone was shocked. They finally understood that these people were from the Heaven Realm. Some great emperors might not be unfamiliar with the Heaven Realm, because they should have a way to enter the Heaven Realm. But for those below the great emperor, the Heaven Realm was a legend. Many powerful forces knew that there was a war in the Heaven Realm, but they had never been to the Heaven Realm. It was even more so for the younger generation. Now, they finally saw the people from the Heaven Realm. Many people's eyes lit up as they sized up the people from the Heaven Realm. It's them. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He saw 2 young men on the Heaven Chariot. He had seen them before. Previously, when he had entered the primordial realm, he had seen 2 youths in the corner of the world that he had left behind. The other had purple hair and an extraordinary aura. The other one was in a black robe and had mastered the law of samsara. He was a scion of samsara and had fought with Lu Ming before. These 2 people are indeed from the Heaven Realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. At this moment he thought of many things. It seemed that not only the prides of the primordial realm had entered that corner of the world, but the prides of the Heaven Realm had also entered. Could it be that the so-called opportunity is related to the Heaven Realm? The Heaven Realm has been passed down for countless years. It's much older than the primordial realm. Legend has it that it has endless opportunities. Some people were discussing in low voices. Although many people knew that most of the 9 heavens domain in the heaven realm had been occupied by the alien races, there was still the strongest and largest domain in the heaven realm, the Tai Ching heaven domain, which was still under their control. It was said that the area of the Tai Ching heavenly region was not smaller than the Yuan continent. It also contained all kinds of opportunities that the heaven realm had obtained over countless years. Many people's eyes lit up. Who are the top 10 prodigies of the primordial realm? Come out and take a look. The middle-aged man in iron armor stepped out and his voice spread through the entire area. Many people retreated. Ming and the rest of the top 10 stepped out and appeared in the middle of the Destiny Mountain. The middle-aged man's eyes were like lightning as he swept his gaze over the 10 people. Goosebumps rose all over Ming's body. It was as if the armored man's gaze could see through them. The armored man glanced around and nodded, satisfied. That's right. It said that the primordial realm is also full of prodigies, and they didn't disappoint me. This time, many of you can enter the heaven realm and obtain great opportunities. The armored man said. Many people's eyes lit up. The reward this time was related to the heaven realm. General, I heard that the primordial realm has also reached its golden age, and the elites have gathered. The 10 strongest elites have been decided, and am itching to spar with them. I hope you'll grant my wish. At this time, in the heaven realm, a burly young man stepped out and cupped his fists to the armored man. Chapter 2132, The Terrifying Heaven Realm's Prodigy. Chapter 2132, The Terrifying Heaven Realm's Prodigy. Many people's gazes moved. The Heaven Realm 1's proud son of heaven was challenging the primordial realm's proud son of heaven. But thinking about it, it was normal. They were all young people, full of vigor and confidence. When they saw a strong opponent, it was inevitable that they would want to exchange pointers. The eyes of RHE primordial realm's prodigies also shone. They also wanted to know how powerful the heaven realm's geniuses were. All right, let's have a spar then. The armored man nodded. This was their plan when they brought the heaven realm's prodigies here. Many thanks, General. The burly teenager cupped his fists and stepped forward, sweeping his gaze across Ming and the other 10. He had short, needle-like hair, and his eyes were as sharp as a lion's. What I cultivate is the immemorial martial arts of the immemorial system. There should be some among you who cultivate the immemorial system, right? The short-haired teenager said as he glanced at the 10 people with a faint arrogance. Bang, bang, bang. Bauda Aoku and Ancient Devil stepped forward at the same time, their bodies erupting with powerful auras. I'll fight you, Bauda said. His body was like an iron tower, filled with endless power. He's mine. I'm sorry, said Pinker with a cold look in his eyes. He was a royal member of RHE True Dragon clan, the Purple Gold True Dragon. However, the other party used 9 dragons to pull the carriage, which made him extremely unhappy. The short-haired teenager glanced at the 3 of them, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He didn't hide his contempt at all. An immemorial body cultivator, an immemorial demonic Tao, and an immemorial devil Tao. Very good. The 3 of you, come at me together. The short-haired teenager said lightly, and his contempt became even stronger. What? Many people's faces changed. This short-haired teenager's tone was too arrogant. He actually asked Bauda and the other 2 to attack him together. It should be known that Bauda had won 4th place, and his combat strength was extremely strong. With Pinker and Ancient Devil, he could even fight Yuan Exin. This short-haired teenager had such strong combat power? Arrogant. I'll fight you. You're courting death. Creek was already furious, and now that he was being looked down on, how could he hold it in? He roared and transformed into his true form, pouncing towards the short-haired teenager. His 5 dragon claws stepped out continuously, wanting to tear the short-haired teenager apart. Boom. Aichi short-haired teenager struck out with his palm. His palm directly pierced through the void and collided with Creek's dragon claw. Creek roared, and its entire dragon body trembled violently as it retreated. That's Everyone saw that Creek's dragon claw had split open. It was covered in cracks and blood was flowing out. One move and Czech was injured. It was shocking. Many people's gazes turned serious. This short-haired young man's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. Tianming and Yuan Xin's eyes turned serious. I said, the three of you attack together, or you won't be able to withstand a single blow. The short-haired young man said, his contempt growing. Then I'll fight you. Bauda roared. His burly body swelled up and he punched R. He also punched through the void. At the same time, the elder devil also attacked. A beam of demonic light slashed at the other party. That Haoge roared. Blood chi filled the air, and the wound on his dragon claw healed quickly. Purple gold light filled his body as he charged at the short-haired teenager. The three heavens favorites from the immemorial system attacked at the same time. It was earth-shattering. Haha, this is more like it. The short-haired teenager laughed. One of his palms changed, as if it had turned into jade. It was so transparent that even the blood vessels in his flesh could be seen. Boom, boom, boom. IHE short-haired teenager attacked and struck out 3 palms in a row. Bang. Ancient devil collided with a palm print. His body shook violently and he was sent flying a few thousand meters. He coughed up blood and his aura weakened. He was seriously injured. Bang, bang. Then, Pinker and Bauda also retreated. Just this much strength? Not enough more. The short-haired teenager rushed towards Bauda and Haoge, his palms continuously striking out. Bauda and Haoge tried their best to resist, but they were no match for him. The palm of the short-haired teenager seemed to have the power to split the sky. Every palm seemed to be able to split them apart. After more than 10 moves, Bauda and Haoge coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Their arms were broken, and they were seriously injured, unable to fight again. Everyone was shocked. This short-haired teenager was too terrifying. There were no nomological fluctuations on his body. It was obvious that he also cultivated the ancient system. However, he was astonishingly strong, easily defeating Bauda, Yak, and Ancient Devil. He must be one of RHE top heaven's favorites in the heaven realm. Someone guessed. You guys are too weak. The short-haired teenager glanced at Bauda and the other two, then stepped back. Bauda, Haoge, and Ancient Devil's faces were ugly, but the other side was indeed powerful, which made them feel helpless and gave them a big blow. I'm here to spar with RHE Primordial Realm's prodigy. After the short-haired teenager went back, another teenager walked out from the heaven realm. This person was wearing a gray robe, and his eyes were as bright as RHE stars. He looked at the crowd and said, I cultivate the nomological system. Who would like to spar with me? I'll fight you. Yuan Laoge was the first to speak. He stepped forward, and the void around him rose and fell like waves. His 2-star illusionary divine cultivation was undoubtedly on display. Son of space-time, 2-star illusionary emperor? How about this? I will also suppress my cultivation to 2-star illusionary emperor. The gray-robed young man said. Then, a powerful aura emanated from his body. He was a 2-star void emperor. Everyone was shocked. The gray-robed young man's words were obvious. His real cultivation base was beyond that of a 2-star illusionary divine. Now, he was going to fight Yuan Laoge, who was at the same level as him. Since that's the case, don't regret it. Yuan Laoge said. As soon as he finished speaking, he made his move. He pierced through the void and charged toward his opponent at an astonishing speed. The gray-robed young man's face remained calm. At that moment, he waved his hand, causing nomological laws to erupt. A huge cauldron appeared in his hand. Primordial chaos laws. This person was a son of primordial chaos. At that moment, the cauldron in his hand was formed from primordial chaos laws. The primordial chaos cauldron quickly grew to the size of a mountain and pressed down on Yuan Haoge. The primordial chaos cauldron's power was simply too astonishing. It directly crushed the void and caused space-time to become chaotic. Boom. Wherever the primordial chaos cauldron passed by, the space exploded continuously. Yuan Haoge's expression changed drastically. At that moment, he felt a shocking force coming towards him. He wanted to escape, but he couldn't. He could only face it head-on. He used all his strength and struck the primordial chaos cauldron. However, the result was that his body was sent flying. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and his arm exploded. It was a terrible sight. Many people gasped. One move. Haoge had been defeated in just one move. The other party did not display a very high cultivation level. Instead, he had suppressed his cultivation to the level of a 2-star illusionary emperor. He was on the same level as Haoge, but he had defeated Haoge with one move. How was this possible? Many people found it hard to believe, but this was the truth. He's too weak. The gray-robed young man shook his head and laughed. He then looked at Yuan Exen and said, "I can sense that you have the pure chaotic body. Ate me." Chapter 2133, The Three Realms of Laws. Chapter 2133, The Three Realms of Laws. The gray-robed young man, the Heaven Realm's proud son of heaven, challenged Yuan Exen. Yuan Xin's eyes narrowed. He was not confident in facing the gray-robed young man, but he had clearly stated that he wanted to challenge him, so he could not avoid the battle. Yuan Exen stepped forward, and the aura on her body burst out. Two types of nomological laws spread out. The gray-robed youth seemed to be surprised. "You've already comprehended two nomological laws and successfully fused them. Not bad. One wonder how your combat strength is? 111 let you see it, chaotic divine body." Facing the gray-robed young man, Yuan Exen didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used his most powerful killing move, the chaotic divine body. Yuan Xin's body was covered in the color of chaos, as if he was made of chaos stone. His aura had reached its peak. "Interesting. Make your move and let me see your strength. Don't worry, one will still suppress my cultivation to 2-star Void Emperor." The gray-robed youth's eyes revealed a faint smile and a trace of interest. However, he did not panic at all. Such an attitude was undoubtedly very contemptuous. Yuan Xin's eyes were filled with anger. With a roar, she stepped into the void and charged toward the gray-robed young man. Boom! Yuan Exen threw a punch at the gray-robed young man. His fist was like a chaotic stone. The gray-robed young man extended his palm. In his palm, another primordial chaos cauldron formed. It rapidly grew to the size of a mountain. The gray-robed young man waved his hand, and the primordial chaos cauldron pressed toward Yuan Exen. Thump! Yuan Xin's punch landed on the primordial chaos cauldron. The cauldron shook violently, and the sound waves swept out in all directions. Many experts emitted light and blocked the sound waves. Yuan Exen had also suffered a terrifying impact. His body trembled and he kept retreating, causing the void to explode. "Not bad. You can block one of my moves. You have some strength. Let's see how many moves you can block," the gray-robed young man said. He seemed to be a little surprised. Then he pressed down with one hand, and the primordial chaos cauldron blasted toward Yuan Exen. "Break, die." Yuan Exen roared and kept punching with both fists like a storm. However, what was unbelievable was that after each move, Yuan Exen would retreat rapidly. He was completely outmatched and was suppressed. After more than 10 moves, he retreated a few hundred meters and blood spurted out of his mouth. "Suppress," the gray-robed young man muttered, and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He pressed down with one hand again, and the cauldron shook and became even bigger, pressing down on Yuan Exen. Boom! This time, Yuan Exen was even more miserable. Her body fell down and smashed into the fighting ring on the top of Destiny Mountain, causing a violent boom. How did this happen? In the primordial realm, many young geniuses shouted in disbelief. Yuan Exen, the son of chaos, was a peerless genius. This time, she ranked third among all the geniuses in the primordial realm. Even such an expert had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated so easily and easily suppressed. The key point was that the other party had already suppressed his cultivation to the level of a 2-star illusionary emperor, but he could still easily suppress Yuan Exen. What was going on? The son of chaos was invincible among those of the same level. How could he be suppressed so badly by his opponent? Second realm of laws. The opponent's laws have already reached the second realm. A powerful true emperor spoke. The second realm of laws? 11 Some people did not understand. Immediately, an elder explained. Laws, after cultivating to the level of emperor to be, would reach perfection and become a river of laws. However, this so-called perfection only referred to the perfection of a certain stage. To be exact, it was only the perfection of the first realm of laws. The cultivation of laws was divided into 3 realms. After breaking through to RHE Martial Emperor realm, some powerhouses could make another breakthrough in their laws and cultivate them to the second or even third realm. Of course, the difficulty was extremely shocking. However, once one broke through, the power would also be shocking. Once he broke through to the second realm, the power of his laws would increase greatly. Even if IR was a king path law, after stepping into the second realm, it could contend with an ultimate law. The gray-robed youth's primordial chaos laws had already reached the second realm. In a battle at the same level, he could naturally easily defeat the son of chaos. However, according to the older generation, only high-level void emperors could cultivate the laws to the second realm. Some people could not break through in their entire lives. As for the other party, he had broken through to the second realm of primordial chaos laws at such a young age. It was truly astonishing. The primordial realm's prodigies are truly flowers in a greenhouse. They can't even withstand a single blow. How boring! The gray-robed young man looked down at Yuan Exen and spoke indifferently, his voice filled with disdain. Detestable! The prides of the primordial realm were all furious. It was really uncomfortable to be looked down upon like this. However, the other party's combat strength was too shocking. Even Tianming and Lu Ming would be defeated. Therefore, they could do nothing but swallow their anger when they were looked down upon by the other party. The gray-robed young man seemed to have lost interest and returned to the chariot. At this moment, a woman walked out. This woman was wearing a suit of iron armor. She looked heroic and was full of killing intent. She glanced at Lu Ming and the rest. One heard that the primordial realm has given birth to a child of fate. I'm very curious about how wonderful the nomological laws of fate are. Do you dare to fight me? Tianming's eyes flickered. The other party directly challenged the destined child, so he could only accept the challenge. Tianming stepped out, his white clothes fluttering in the wind. He looked at the heroic-looking woman and said, "I am the child of destiny. What's your cultivation level?" The heroic-looking woman said, 2-star Void Emperor. Tianming said, 2-star Void Emperor, just as well, I'm also a 2-star Void Emperor. The heroic-looking woman spoke, and the aura of laws emanated from her body. The law of the king path, you have a king physique? Tianming was stunned, and a trace of displeasure flashed through his eyes. The other party actually had the physique of a king, and the physique of a king actually dared to challenge him. This was underestimating him. So what if you have the king physique? Even a king physique can defeat you. The heroic-looking woman's aura became even sharper. A long spear appeared in her hand. The long spear stirred up the wind and clouds as she stabbed toward Tianming. As the long spear stabbed out, the aura of the heroic-looking woman rose sharply, revealing her sharp edge. She was like an invincible goddess of war. Great fate technique. Tianming didn't dare to underestimate his enemy. He used the great fate technique and turned into a rainbow light, attacking the heroic woman. Boom. Feian BSP, the light of fate collided with the spear, creating astonishing ripples. The heroic-looking woman was successfully blocked. A second realm law. However, a second realm king path law is not my match either. Tianming shouted and launched a counterattack. He could tell that his opponent's nomological laws had already reached the second realm. However, he cultivated the nomological laws of fate, while his opponent was only a king's Tao law. He had no fear and could crush his opponent. Buzz. Buzz. The heavens will finger continued to point, sending beams of destiny light at the enemy. If one doesn't work, then 2, then 3. The heroic-looking woman said coldly. Her aura had become even stronger. 3 types of nomological laws burst forth, and she had completely mastered them. 3 kinds of king path laws, and 2 of them have already reached the second realm. How is it possible at such a young age? A true emperor with snow-white hair roared in disbelief. He had lived for a long time and knew very well how difficult it was to reach this step. Chapter 2134. Your talents aren't bad. Chapter 2134. Your talents aren't bad. The others were also shocked. The heroic-looking woman looked so young, but she had already comprehended and fused 3 kinds of king path laws. Moreover, 2 of them had already reached the second realm. This was simply frightening. The heroic-looking woman had an imposing aura. She was dressed in iron armor and held a long spear in her hand, like a female war god. She thrust her spear forward, and the wind and clouds changed color. 3 laws burst out at the same time, and a terrifying long spear stabbed toward Tianming. Tianming's pupils rapidly contracted, and his eyes became incomparably serious. His entire body shone, and the river of fate appeared. He placed himself in the river of fate and used it to resist. However, the huge spear seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. It pierced directly into the river of fate, causing it to shake continuously and stir up huge waves. The laws of fate were extremely profound and powerful. When he attacked, it was as if his words were law. One word could determine a person's success or failure, life or death, and fate. However, that was only relative to those with weaker cultivation. Once one's cultivation reached a certain level, one could use strength to break through the laws of fate. Previously, Ming was like this. And now, the heroic-looking woman was also the same. The long river of fate surged and finally exploded. Tianming's body trembled and he retreated, spurting out a mouthful of blood. Destiny defeated. The scene was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded and found it difficult to speak. Was this the heaven realm's prodigy? He was only a king, yet he could defeat the primordial realm's son of destiny. It made people feel like they were dreaming. So what if he's the son of God? So what if he was destiny's child? I might have an absolute advantage below the rank of a martial sovereign, but after that, anything is possible. In the future, I'll also use the king path law to derive the ultimate law and trample all the sons of God under my feet. The heroic-looking lady spoke, her voice filled with confidence. She had a king's body, and below the martial emperor realm, it was impossible for her to match the son of heaven. However, after she broke through to the martial emperor realm, she had comprehended 3 king path laws and even 2 of them had entered the second realm. Many of the sons of heaven at the same realm were not her match. The heroic-looking woman's words shook everyone's hearts. It also made the eyes of many young people with king physiques and even those who cultivated ordinary laws light up. Indeed, so what if they were lagging behind now? They still had a chance. After breaking through to the martial sovereign realm, they might be able to erupt and surpass the Son of God, charging all the way up and reaching the peak. Some of the older generation shook their heads. It was easier said than done to achieve this. Even after breaking through to the martial sovereign realm, it was extremely difficult to comprehend king path laws. It was even more difficult to comprehend an ultimate law. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. For a heroic-looking woman to be able to reach this stage, she was already a rare heaven's favorite. However, they naturally wouldn't open their mouths to dampen the young people's enthusiasm. The heroic-looking woman didn't say anything else and returned to the chariot. Tianming's face turned ugly. In the past, he had been invincible and unrivaled in the younger generation. But during this period of time, he had suffered a series of defeats. First, he lost to Ming, who had not become an emperor. Now, he had lost to a king physique, which dealt a huge blow to his self-confidence. At the same time, the young people of the primordial realm also looked dejected. The heaven realm's prodigies were too strong. No one in the primordial realm could defeat them, and they suffered defeat after defeat. The heaven realm's heaven's pride experts are probably the strongest in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's resources are better, so it's normal for them to have such cultivation. That's right, they must be the strongest group of people in the heaven realm. Some of the young men were discussing. Although they were discussing in low voices, they were still heard by the people of the heaven realm. The gray-robed young man from before sneered and said, "You don't have to comfort yourself. In the heaven realm, we are not the strongest group at all. At most, we are only in the second level. The strongest group of people are much stronger than me." Well, these words stunned the geniuses of the primordial realm. Even many of the older generation were stunned. These young people in the heaven realm were actually not the strongest. In the heaven realm, there were people stronger than them, and they could only be regarded as second grade. Many of the primordial realm's proud children of heaven had ugly expressions. Even Tianming, Yuan Xin, Baoda, and the others had unsightly expressions and were somewhat discouraged. Is the gap between our primordial realm and the heaven realm that big? I heard that there's only one heaven domain left in the heaven realm. How can it still be so terrifying? How strong would he be if he was at his peak? Many people were discussing and became more and more dejected. You guys don't have to be discouraged. At this time, the armored man stepped out and his voice spread throughout the whole area. Many people looked at him. Your talents are actually not bad. Many people's talents are no worse than the top heaven's favorites in the heaven realm. What you lack is resources and training. The heaven realm has existed for countless years. Although there is only one heaven domain left, it is the largest heaven domain. The resources, treasures, and various cultivation holy lands that have been accumulated over countless years are incomparable to those of the primordial realm. That is why their cultivation is stronger than yours. Also, the heavenly realm is currently at war with the outsiders. Sometimes, they will step onto the battlefield and fight to the death. Only by tempering themselves through life and death can they become stronger. The armored man said. His words made the eyes of many of the primordial realm's proud children of heaven light up again, and they regained their confidence. That's right, it wasn't that they were lacking in talent, it was just that they didn't have as many resources as the heaven realm's prodigies. How could the Son of God be lacking in talent? Therefore, this time, I will bring a group of primordial realm's prodigies to the heaven realm. The resources in the heaven realm will be completely open to you. The armored man said. Many heaven's favorites' eyes lit up with joy. The primordial realm couldn't compare to the heaven realm's resources and all kinds of cultivation holy lands. They were moved and wanted to go. They understood that this was the reward for the battle of the 10 lands, and it was really tempting. It was obvious that the heaven realm was trying to nurture the geniuses so that they could rise up quickly. As long as you obtain the resources of the heaven realm, you might be able to compete with them in the future. The armored man pointed at the heaven realm's prodigies and encouraged everyone. Senior, actually, the number one genius of the primordial realm hasn't made a move yet. If he did, he might not lose. A youth from the primordial realm spoke up. Previously, their primordial realm had been continuously defeated, and some of the youths were still feeling uncomfortable. At this moment, someone couldn't help but say, "Oh!" The armored man and the heaven realm's paragons all looked surprised. At first, they all thought that Tianming was the number one genius of the primordial realm. They didn't expect that he wasn't. The number one of the primordial realm was someone else? Who's the first in the primordial realm? The armored man asked. Many people's gazes turned to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was speechless. He did not want to stand out at first because the heaven realm's proud children of heaven had very high cultivation levels. Even if he fought, he might not be able to win. But now, he was pushed out. He could only step forward and cup his fists at the armored man, saying, "Lu Ming of the junior generation greets the senior." Chapter 2135. Lu Ming takes action? Chapter 2135. Lu Ming takes action, you. The armored man's eyes swept over Lu Ming, very surprised. With his cultivation, he could easily see through Lu Ming's cultivation. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the level of an emperor to be, so he didn't pay much attention to him. He never expected Lu Ming to be the number one genius of the primordial realm. Could it be that Lu Ming was more powerful than Destiny's Child? The heaven realm's elites also looked at Lu Ming in surprise. "So it's you, General." You'll meet him. A voice was heard. A young man in a black robe stepped out of the chariot and walked toward Lu Ming. This person was dressed in a black robe and had long hair like a waterfall. His face was cold and arrogant, and his eyes were sharp. He was the young man Lu Ming had met in that world. At that time, this person was with the purple-haired young man, and the two seemed to be senior and junior brothers. Back then, Lu Ming had fought with this person. However, the other party seemed to be busy and ignored Lu Ming. He had long wanted to make a move. Now that he heard that Lu Ming was the #1 prodigy of the primordial realm, he could not wait to make a move. Make your move. Let me see how strong you are. The black-robed young man stared at Lu Ming, his cold arrogance growing. The aura on his body soared to the sky. He was a peak 2-star void emperor. Buzz. Following that, 6 pitch-black vortexes appeared behind him, spinning non-stop. These were the reincarnation vortexes that wanted to devour people and send them into reincarnation. This person was a child of samsara. In fact, after becoming a martial supreme, there was almost no need to call him a son of heaven. This was because after becoming a martial supreme, some people could cultivate an ultimate maxim later on. Those who did so later on could not be called a son of heaven. However, it was also difficult to distinguish who was innate and who was acquired. Therefore, those after the rank of martial supreme rarely used this form of address. However, the black-robed youth's law of reincarnation was extremely oppressive. The 6 vortexes seemed to be able to swallow the entire world. Remember, the person who defeated you is called Li Yu. With that, the black-robed young man pressed down with one hand and 6 vortexes pressed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. Li Yu's combat strength was definitely above Yuan Xin's or even Tianming's. His cultivation base was at the peak of the 2-star illusionary emperor realm, which was not weaker than Tianming and Yuan Xin. Moreover, his law of reincarnation had broken through to the 2nd realm, which was extremely powerful. Lu Ming did not hold back and exploded with all his strength. All 5 types of nomological laws burst out, and a river of 5-colored nomological laws surrounded his body. Buzz. Lu Ming soared into the sky and struck out with his palm. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying palm force hit the 6 reincarnation vortexes, causing them to tremble continuously. Li Yu's body also trembled as he was forced to retreat continuously. 2 ultimate maxims? Impossible. How is that possible? Li Yu's shocked voice came out of his mouth. He widened his eyes and stared at Lu Ming. He was in disbelief. He could actually sense 2 ultimate maxims from Lu Ming. This was absolutely unbelievable. He was not the only one. The other Heaven Realm's paragons also widened their eyes and stared at Lu Ming in a daze, as if they had never seen the world. It's your turn to be surprised now. Some of the primordial realm's proud sons of heaven were excited. Seeing the Heaven Realm's proud sons of heaven shocked them, they felt great. Boom. Even the armored man couldn't control himself. A terrifying aura burst out from his body, and his eyes were wide open. At the same time, a terrifying and oppressive aura filled the air. This aura made people feel as if they were facing the might of the heavens. They were unable to resist it, as if they were just an ant. The stronger one's cultivation was, the deeper one could sense it. Many great emperors' faces changed and they broke out in a cold sweat. They looked at the figure sitting on the heaven chariot. The aura that was like the might of heaven came from this figure. This figure had always been shrouded in divine light, so his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. Before this, he had been very calm and didn't show any signs of abnormality. At this moment, after seeing Lu Ming erupt with 2 ultimate maxims, the figure fluctuated and revealed a trace of aura. Heavens! The Celestial Emperor! An emperor spoke with great difficulty, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. The Celestial Emperor! The figure sitting on the chariot was actually the Celestial the Arch? The Celestial Emperor contained the might of the heavens. However, as soon as the aura was released, it was retracted, and the terrifying pressure disappeared. At the Emperor-to-be realm, you can actually comprehend 2 strongest laws and 3 king path laws. Haha, I didn't expect such a person to appear in the primordial realm. Continue, let me experience it. Liu was overjoyed instead of shocked. His fighting spirit grew stronger. He laughed and charged at Lu Ming. Along the way, his aura grew stronger, and another law spread out. Liu had mastered 2 types of nomological laws, one of which was the law of reincarnation and the other was the law of kings. However, he had not broken into the second realm of the king path law. He was only at the completion of the first realm. However, it also improved Liu's combat strength. 6 paths of reincarnation fist. Liu stretched out his arms and threw a punch. The force of the punch was imbued with the power of the law, and it was aimed at Lu Ming. Death's Blade. Lu Ming cast one of his strongest killing moves, the Sword of Death. A huge combat sword was condensed in Lu Ming's hand. Previously, Lu Ming had used this move to cut off the long river of destiny. Buzz. The Sword of Death slashed out. Boom. An earth-shattering boom rang out as the Sword of Death collided with the fist radiance, creating an endless amount of energy. The chi was like wild waves, wave after wave, sweeping in all directions. Boom. The 2 of them retreated 100 meters after the attack. Liu was indeed stronger than Tianming. Previously, Lu Ming could cut off Tianming's river of destiny with one sword. Now, he could not defeat Liu. Again! Liu let out a long howl and charged at Lu Ming again. The force of the 6 Daos of reincarnation fist covered the sky and the earth as it came at Lu Ming. Good! Lu Ming let out a long howl, his eyes filled with excitement and fighting spirit. He was indeed excited. In the primordial realm, he was already invincible among the younger generation. Once he used the Sword of Death, even destiny would be defeated. However, Liu was able to fight with him now. This would allow Lu Ming to continue perfecting the Sword of Death. The Sword of Death was only a beginner. Lu Ming could barely unleash the profoundness of 4 types of laws, but he was still a long way from mastering it. Only in the midst of a great battle could it be continuously perfected. Boom, boom. The 2 of them charged at each other, constantly fighting and clashing. It was extremely intense. I didn't expect there to be such a person in the primordial realm. The young man from the heaven realm had a serious expression on his face. Lu Ming is indeed powerful. He can fight against the heaven's pride. The prides of the primordial realm smiled, feeling a little better. Previously, the primordial realm's prodigies had been completely suppressed by the heaven realm's prodigies. Although the heaven realm had more resources, so the other party was stronger, and in terms of talent, they weren't bad, they still didn't feel good. Now, there was finally someone who could fight against the heaven realm's prodigies. Chapter 2136, Chapter 2135, First Victory. Chapter 2136, Chapter 2135 First Victory. The battle was very intense, and in the blink of an eye, over 100 moves had passed. Satisfying, satisfying. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He realized that as the battle progressed, the power of his Sword of Death was getting stronger and stronger. He was also becoming more and more familiar with the use of the 4 types of laws. This kid is using Liu to practice his divine power. What a terrifying talent! The burly man in the armor saw through Lu Ming's intention and was secretly shocked. Damn it! Liu roared in his heart. He realized that the more they fought, the stronger Lu Ming became. In the beginning, they were evenly matched, but now, Lu Ming was slowly suppressing him. He was furious. He couldn't be defeated by the primordial realm's prodigy. He roared and fought Lu Ming with all his might. "I'll cultivate the chaos hammer." Lu Ming could not care less about Liu's thoughts. He was completely immersed in cultivating the divine power technique now. All of a sudden his attack changed. The Sword of Death disappeared, and Lu Ming cast the Hammer of Chaos to fight with his opponent. A giant hammer formed in Lu Ming's hand and he smashed it at Liu. Each blow was so heavy that it could blow up a mountain and penetrate the earth. The 2 of them engaged in a fierce battle and exchanged hundreds of moves. Lu Ming's Hammer of Chaos was getting stronger and stronger. Boom, boom. Lu Ming swung the hammer of chaos and the sword of death at other times to hone his superpower. Li Yu, on the other hand, was having a hard time. He was completely at a disadvantage. Lu Ming was getting stronger and stronger. He roared. He didn't want to be the first person to be defeated by the primordial realm's proud son of heaven. He wanted to turn defeat into victory, but it was all in vain. He was no match. Bang. In the end, he was hit by Lu Ming's hammer of chaos. Even his 6 reincarnation vortexes exploded. He was sent flying backward and blood spurted out. His face was pale and extremely unsightly. He had actually lost. He had lost to someone from the primordial realm. All right. Many of the youths of the primordial realm cheered, feeling extremely carefree. The primordial realm had finally won a battle, but it had not lost so badly. Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the rest jumped up in joy. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming glared at Liu. Fight again. Liu roared, unwilling to admit defeat. Junior brother, stop. At this moment, a voice was heard. Then a figure stepped out. It was the purple-haired young man. Liu seemed to be very obedient to the purple-haired young man and stopped. Junior brother, you're not his match. If you continue to fight, you'll definitely lose. There's no need to. Let me do it. The violet-haired youth smiled. Senior brother, are you going to make a move? Liu was stunned. I can suppress my cultivation and fight him. The purple-haired youth said. There's no need for you to do anything. How about you leave this battle to me? Another voice was heard. It was the gray-robed young man who had defeated Yuan Xan earlier. At this moment he stepped out. The purple-haired young man pondered for a moment and said, You can make a move. Lu Ming, right? Make your move. Let me see your ability. The gray-robed youth said. A primordial chaos cauldron formed in his hand. Boom. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on the other party. He attacked immediately, the huge chaos hammer smashing towards the other party. Since the gray-robed young man dared to attack, he must be stronger than Liu. Lu Ming did not hold back and went all out. The gray-robed young man waved his hand and the grand mist cauldron spun, pressing down on Lu Ming. 2 types of laws. The gray-robed young man also controlled 2 types of laws, an ultimate law and a king path law. However, like Liu, he had not reached the second realm of the king path law. However, his primordial chaos laws were clearly more mature. Boom. The hammer of chaos and the primordial chaos cauldron collided. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surge through the hammer of chaos. Lu Ming's body trembled and he took a few steps back. However, the primordial chaos cauldron was also sent flying and caught by the gray-robed youth. He's stronger than Liu. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The other party's primordial chaos laws were clearly more profound and powerful. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. He was only excited. Another one for him to train. Lu Ming stepped on the void and charged at the gray-robed young man again. Boom, boom. After more than 10 consecutive moves, although Lu Ming was at a slight disadvantage, he was not defeated. He became stronger as the battle progressed, and he comprehended the divine ability in the battle. You want to use me as a whetstone? Impossible. One didn't say that I would suppress my cultivation to fight you. The gray-robed young man said coldly. In the next moment, a shocking aura erupted from his body. It was much stronger than before. A 3-star illusionary emperor. This was the gray-robed young man's true cultivation. He had already reached the peak of 3-star Void Emperor and was only 1 step away from becoming a 4-star Void Emperor. The gray-robed young man's combat strength surged. Lose. The gray-robed young man waved his hand and the primordial chaos cauldron smashed toward Lu Ming again. Its power was much stronger than before. The primordial chaos cauldron suppressed an area of the void, as large as a mountain. Lu Ming retreated rapidly, but the primordial chaos cauldron followed him at an alarming speed. Boom. Lu Ming used the hammer of chaos to blast it. The sky trembled and Lu Ming's body shook violently as he was sent flying a few thousand meters. His arm trembled slightly, and the web between his thumb and forefinger was split open, bleeding. In the martial emperor realm, there was a huge difference between each stage. A 3-star Void Emperor was much stronger than a 2-star Void Emperor. If it was an ordinary 3-star illusionary emperor, Lu Ming would be able to kill him in seconds. However, the gray-robed young man was a genius among geniuses. He could kill enemies of a higher level than him. In fact, he could kill enemies of a higher level than him. Lu Ming was no match for him. Buzz! The primordial chaos cauldron trembled once more and came crashing down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming was sent flying again. His qi and blood boiled and blood seeped out of the corners of his mouth. I can only use the 3rd bloodline. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. With a thought, the energy of the 3rd bloodline gushed into his body continuously, covering him with a layer of blood-red light. Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed and his killing intent was endless. Thump! Lu Ming wielded the Chaos Hammer and struck the primordial Chaos Cauldron, sending it flying. Hiss hiss hiss, gasps could be heard at the scene. Countless people looked at Lu Ming, dumbfounded. Lu Ming still had energy left. He had not used all his strength earlier. How was this possible? They were all shocked. Why would I? Tianming, Yuan Xen, and the others were also shocked. Previously, Lu Ming had defeated them without using his full strength. They had suffered a huge blow. It's this secret technique. Xing's expression was extremely ugly. Back in the world of the lotus flower, Lu Ming had used this secret skill to defeat him. The experts of the Heng family, the He family, and other forces were even more shocked. Lu Ming was too terrifying. Some of the Heaven Realm's geniuses also looked very serious. Kill! The gray-robed young man stepped on the primordial cauldron and charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming welcomed him and fought with him. After borrowing the power of his 3rd bloodline, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased greatly. He had the upper hand in the continuous exchanges with the gray-robed young man. All right, let's stop here. At this moment, a clear voice was heard. Chapter 2137. Chapter 2137, Divine Body or Crippled Body. Chapter 2137. Chapter 2137 Divine Body or Crippled Body. A voice rang out. The voice was clear and bright, but it contained supreme dignity. Hearing this voice, the gray-robed young man's expression changed and he quickly retreated. Lu Ming stopped as well. He retracted the power of the 3rd bloodline and the blood-red light on Lu Ming's body disappeared. Everyone's eyes were on the figure sitting on the chariot, shrouded in divine light. He was the one who had just spoken. At this moment, the figure stood up and stepped out of the chariot. The divine light on his body also retracted, revealing his true appearance. It was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. He was wearing a long robe and looked quite elegant. However, the great emperors of the primordial realm hurriedly saluted and bowed. Greetings, Lord Heavenly Emperor. It was indeed the Celestial the Arch. Everyone's heart trembled violently, and then they followed suit and saluted. Their voices resounded through the sky. The elegant middle-aged man nodded. He swept his gaze across Lu Ming, then Tianming, Yuan Xen, and the rest. The primordial realm has also reached its golden age, and there are many elites. Not bad. Many of you are very talented. If you enter the Heaven Realm and receive the cultivation of the Heaven Realm, you will definitely be able to rise quickly. One have decided that this time, the top 320 of the primordial realm can follow me into the Heaven Realm to cultivate. Those cultivation holy lands will open their doors for you. At the same time, there will be heavenly emperors to guide you. The elegant middle-aged man said. What? The top 320 can go. And the Celestial the Arch is personally guiding me. Many people's eyes lit up. Especially the top 320 Heaven's favorites, they were all ecstatic and excited. This meant that the 320 people who had passed the selection could all go. Many of those who hadn't reached the 320th place had ugly expressions and sighed helplessly. The Heaven Realm's resources were much better than the primordial realms, and there was also the Celestial Emperor's guidance. This was too tempting. Of course, when you enter the Heaven Realm, you will also be allowed to enter the battlefield. There will be some danger in fighting with the alien tribes. If you don't want to go, one won't force you. If you don't want to go, you can ask now. The elegant middle-aged man said. Not a single person stood out. Who would be willing to miss such a rare opportunity? Moreover, if they wanted to rise, they had to rise from the slaughter. These heaven's favorites are not afraid of slaughter. Without tempering himself, how could he reach the peak? No one wanted to quit. Very good. The elegant middle-aged man nodded and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. After a while, he said, the other people in the top 320 can go, but you can't. What? Everyone was stunned by his words. The Celestial the Arch said that Lu Ming could not go? What was going on? Lu Ming's strength was obvious to all. His combat strength was unparalleled. He had yet to become a great emperor, but he had already mastered 5 types of laws, 2 ultimate laws, and 3 king path laws. His combat strength was so frightening that it could be said that it had never been seen before. But now, the Celestial the Arch actually said that Lu Ming could not go? Could it be that there were other arrangements? Many people's imagination ran wild. Even Lu Ming himself was stunned. Heavenly Emperor, why can't one go? Lu Ming was a little indignant. If he could go to the cultivation holy lands in the heaven realm to cultivate and even receive guidance from the Celestial the Arch, his cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. In the current great era, the foreign races were invading, and he didn't know when a great war would break out. He had to improve his strength as soon as possible. Your physique is unparalleled among those below the martial supreme realm. The Celestial the Arch looked at Lu Ming and said slowly. Many people were shocked. Even the Celestial the Arch described Lu Ming's unparalleled divine body as unparalleled. Wait a minute. Some people noticed that the Celestial the Arch was referring to those below the martial sovereign realm. But at the same time, your body is also a peerless trash body. The Celestial the Arch continued. What? Countless people were shocked. Previously, the Celestial the Arch had said that Lu Ming's physique was a peerless divine body. Why was he calling Lu Ming a peerless trash body now? Everyone was at a loss and didn't know what was going on. Ow! The Celestial the Arch sighed as if he found it a pity. Since ancient times, those who cultivate in the nomological system know that those below the martial emperor realm can only comprehend one type of nomological law at most. It's impossible to control 2 types of nomological laws. Many people's hearts stirred. Lu Ming had mastered many types of laws. They knew that the Celestial the Arch was most likely going to reveal some big secret. The Celestial the Arch continued, however, the heaven realm has been passed down for countless years. At the end of the primordial era, the system of nomological laws emerged. It has been countless years since then. In such a long period of time, one wonders how many heaven's favorites have appeared. Many of them have amazing talents. In the distant past, there were people who broke the norm. Below the rank of martial supreme, there were people who could control multiple laws. In fact, there were people who could control more laws than you. It was just that no one could control 2 ultimate laws at the same time. Those people below the martial emperor realm are extremely talented. Their combat strength is unparalleled and rare. They can easily kill a void emperor, let alone those at the same realm. However, these people will never be able to break through to the martial emperor realm. The Celestial the Arch explained in detail. Everyone was shocked, and their hearts were in turmoil, unable to calm down. It turned out that in the ancient times of the heaven realm, there had been such a heaven-defying figure. Below the martial emperor realm, he had mastered many kinds of laws and had unparalleled combat strength. However, the most shocking thing was that these people could not break through to the martial emperor realm. Lu Ming himself was also shocked and dumbfounded. He could not break through to the martial supreme realm? That was impossible. Lu Ming's eyes turned red. He could not accept it. At the same time, he remembered that he had tried to break through to the martial supreme realm in that world, but he had failed and almost torn his saint heart and body apart. As we all know, to break through to the martial sovereign realm, one has to transform the laws in the saint heart into the world core. Then, the world core will transform the saint heart into a small world. However, It's very difficult to balance it when you control so many laws. You can say that it's impossible to balance it at all and can't evolve the world core. Once you break through by force, the terrifying power of the laws will tear the saint heart and the person apart. In history, geniuses like you all walked the two heavens path in the end. One of them was to forcefully break through, and then be torn apart by the power of laws and die. The other is to be trapped in the emperor-to-be realm for the rest of your life. Your life will be exhausted and you will die of depression. Boom, boom, boom. The celestial thearch's words were like thunder, exploding in Lu Ming's mind. This was because the celestial thearch's words were too similar to what he was facing. They were exactly the same. But that was impossible. Lu Ming's face was dull and his eyes were bloodshot. He could not accept this fact. If he could not break through to the rank of a martial supreme, then what was the point of cultivating? That's impossible. My master will definitely break through to the rank of a martial supreme. He's unparalleled in the world. Lu Xiangxiang cried out. Her little face was pale and she could not accept this. I won't. Ouyang Moli, Qiu Yu, Feng Ling, Long Chen, and the others all shook their heads in disbelief. The scene was in an uproar. There was actually such a thing. It really was a magnitude 12 earthquake. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.